Hey guys, and welcome to LITTLEBLACKBOOK91. I'm back again with another crazy interview. Yes, I'm sitting down with Tori from Ready to Love, and it's going to be one of those conversations where we're going to hash out a few different things as we go. But I have the honor of being able to sit down and have a one-to-one conversation. Tori, how you doing today?
You're doing all right. How about yourself?
I'm alive and well, sir, and I'm firing all cylinders. You get me? I'm well fed.
Blessing within itself. Blessing within itself.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Bro, listen, before I get anywhere into conversation, I'm sure you've seen it before. I like to, do some human verification. I like to make sure that you are actually, human, because you never know. You could be an android, you could be a hologram, you could be some robot. Who knows? So I'm going to ask a few questions for human verification. Is that cool?
That is true.
I like it, sir. I like it. That's what I like to hear. All right, my first question to you, sir. First question to you, sir. You have a plane ticket, empty plane ticket. You can go anywhere in the world. Tell me where you would go and why.
That's a good question. And it's just you said an empty plane ticket. You might go anywhere in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I think right now for some reason I need a vacation. It's been a long road. The last few weeks has been very busy. Uh, I'm gonna say something right now that I probably wouldn't say on a normal basis, but I think I would go to, is it Fiji or Bora Bora that has those little huts on top of the water? You
Mm-hmm.
know, I want to go to one of the little spots where I'm just going to chill, relax, a couple bottles of champagne, a whole case of champagne, and and just sit on the water and relax, me, myself, and I. Because you only say one ticket anywhere I go. Want to go.
Yeah, I want to keep it. All right,
So,
cool. I
yeah.
like that. So Fiji or Bora Bora. All right, cool. I'm hearing that. I like that. I like that. All right, second question for human verification. Much more simpler. What's your favorite color and why?
Blue, and it's been my favorite color for years, and that's just
Mm.
because where I grew up. It was more of a street thing, and it just always stuck with me. I got to leave that right there.
For safety purposes, you're gonna leave that right there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm an old man now.
I love that, man. I love that. And then my final question for you then, is milk or cereal in the bowl first? Which one goes in first for you?
Cereal, of course. Anything else is uncivilized. You don't know how much cereal you're gonna put in a bowl.
I don't know. That sounds like a serial killer for me. Drowning your cereal like that, sir?
Well, I mean, y'all also eat crumpets over
We
toast.
do. I mean, I personally don't,
Okay.
but we do. Yeah. Actually, then again, saying that we do McDonald's breakfast is a crumpet. So, we have the crumpets with the double sausage and egg.
So
Yeah.
to make
So
sure you're human, what came first, McDonald's or the crumpet?
the crumpet came first.
Mm,
Mm.
that sounds factual.
I love that. I love that. I think you've passed. I think you're fair to say that you're a human being, and I appreciate you, sir. I appreciate you. So let's get into some conversation. I like to get to know my people that come on here. I want to get to know you a little bit better. We know we saw you Ready to Love, and we saw your journey, and we appreciate that we got to see you in that light. But I want to get to know you a bit better. So my opening question for you is, who is Tori? And what is Tori's story?
Tory is a young urban male in his late 30s, originally from Alabama, Montgomery, Alabama, born and raised to a military mother, single family home. Both parents are still alive. A father to two beautiful young girls, one 15 and one 7. The 7-year-old lives with me. So right now I'm doing the single dad thing. Her mother is in her life. So I try to define that when I say that. And I'm a realtor. Went to UAB, got a master's degree in human resources, undergrad in psychology and business. Who I am, I'm fun loving. I'm carefree. I'm very blunt to a fault because I think being blunt is not good. I realize being blunt is not a good thing for television sometimes. And I think with me, as in dating wise, I can be an individual that's pretty much upfront and just very intentional. I'm one of them guys that when it comes to stuff, I pretty much know what I want. Not always. It has not always been that way. It's a development throughout the years.
Okay, I love that. Thank you for that breakdown. Let me ask you a question then. Like you spoke about obviously growing up in, you said Birmingham, Alabama. Is that correct? Is right?
Montgomery, Alabama, but I did go to college in Birmingham. So when people ask me where I'm from, I'd be like, so is it where I live most of my life or where I grew up? I grew up in Montgomery most of my life in Birmingham. When I went to college, I stayed in Birmingham.
Oh, okay. All right. So tell us a little bit about your upbringing then, because I know you did speak to Precious on the show. We saw a little bit of that, but tell us a little bit about your upbringing. Describe what your upbringing was like for Tori. How did you grow up? What was it like for you?
Oof, so much to a, we would need a whole a whole nother. I'm not gonna. I'm gonna give you the short version because we would need a whole nother thing for that. But grew up with my mom for a while. I remember we living in Denver, Colorado, and Texas for a little bit, and then being in Montgomery. My dad and mom were married, but for some reason I never took his last name. I don't understand why. I never asked that question either.
Mm.
I remember my mom going away for Kuwait a great portion of my childhood. So I remember growing up with my grandparents, and for some reason in between that time, I remember living with my aunts for a good while. Don't know why. I'm young. I just know I was maybe passed around between family members for a while. That might have been the dynamics. I remember my grandmother being a factory glass worker, working herself to the bone. My grandfather being a truck driver, very earnest man. It's funny, when I was a kid, they used to be like, my grandfather's a truck driver. My grandmother would never know when he was coming home. And they were like, Tori, they used to think I was psychic when I was a kid. They were like, you would look at me, you look at your grandmother, and you'd be like, my granddad is coming home. And they said I was standing in front of the door, and no more than an hour later, he'll always come home. And it was like, they got to the point they thought I was psychic. But I think for the most part, I grew up with loving grandparents.
Love that.
Yeah, so I grew up, life wasn't easy, wasn't hard, but it wasn't hard. I remember my mother, in the military, the few times that I can remember being with her till she came back to like the later years of my college. Not sorry, in high school. Like she came back in like high school. I remember like her struggles growing up too. Her trying to make ends meet, cutting up credit cards, stuff like that. So I remember seeing that. Um, Honestly, me growing up, it was just trying to figure out my way. I never really had, older people don't tell you how life is going to be. You got to prepare for that. And I learned that's a big thing in our community.
Mm.
Our kids, and this is why I practice the dynamic with my kids. They don't prepare their kids for life. They don't have those conversations about life changes, what's going on in life, physical changes. I'm finding out like in my dating life, and talking to women, that their parents didn't tell them that. They had to figure out from classmates and stuff like that. And that's kind of crazy and sad that we're classmate taught instead of parent taught.
Yeah.
And that's what's in our community, because a lot of our community, not to change the subject at all, but it's part of my growing up, is that we're taught to work for $1, but very rare that we're taught to make $1 work for us.
Mm.
So that's what I was taught. Go get a job, get a good job. No matter what kind of job, just have a job. And I remember going into high school, and first job I got to work 3 jobs to try to make ends meet. And high school, my mom took me back. She thought so. I'm sorry, I'm skipping around, but
What's wrong? You good?
yeah,
You're good. You're good. Don't worry.
yeah. So I was with my grandmother, and I think my mom, for some reason, wanted me in private school for a while. So I was not I didn't grow up in school wise around people that looked like me, for a while, because I was fighting too much in high school. Not high school, but elementary and junior high, because you got, like, my grandparents came from the days like, look, if you don't whoop them, we gonna whoop you when you get home. And I was fighting too much. You constantly got to prove yourself, and I was getting in trouble for it, because the best fighter always becomes the bully, even though not that, so they put me in private school. And so I started growing up with people that didn't look like me. Grew up with a lot of racism. I used to think that the N word was my first name at one point. They used to tell jokes. I remember this one joke that has always stuck with me too. I don't know if it's appropriate to tell you on your show. Remember, there's one joke that she used to tell, because I'm from Alabama, South. There was a lot of racism when I was growing up. And I remember the students around me taking mine. There was only one or two black individuals, such as myself, and he used to tell black jokes all the time. And I remember this white guy put pepper on the napkin, folded it, and told me this is a line of KFC. And so I grew up with a lot of racism. It wasn't to college that I started understanding and appreciation of our people, because then I started seeing a lot of us. My mom, not college, but high school, because my mom thought sending me to high school was punishment. She got mad at me about something. She came back by this time, and she sent me to high school. Like, I'm gonna put you in high school, public school. That was the best time of my life. I was like, I did not realize our women were so beautiful. I was like, yes. I was like, I didn't know there was different shades of black women.
Trust me.
I was like, different shapes, sizes, shapes. I was like, man, our people are so. And that's where I got the opportunity to grow appreciation, and that's pretty much how I grew up. Grandparents, single family home mother, private school to be in public school. My outlet as a kid was writing. I used to write poetry, used to write songs. It was my way of expressing myself and being able to, I'm not telling you everything went on in my household, but it was my way to get a release from things. You know what I'm saying? And it was my way to being able to express myself.
Totally hear that, man. I appreciate you even sharing that, and I'm definitely hearing you on that. I think I have a number of questions in my head at a time and moment, because I think you spoke about some or touched lightly on certain things which I think are so important as well. Because our childhoods are so much have so much power and weight in how we grow up as adults. And you mentioned something which was really interesting for me. I think number one was the moving around in terms of who was your caregiver and guardian at the time. What is your what would you say was the effect on you having to be in different places or with different caregivers? Because that connection where you normally have your parents, where you're situated in one place, when you don't have that, it can affect us in different ways. So for you, how did it affect you having to not be with your mom at certain points in time, but then be with grandma or be with auntie? Or like, how did that affect you when you were younger?
Honestly, back then I preferred to stay with my grandmother and auntie. That was a better thing for me, to be honest with you. So when I was with my grandmother and auntie, I was very happy. To me, it was a safe place, and it was a beautiful experience. I just, when you're young, you don't ask those questions of why I'm here, why I'm there. You just know there's a reason. But when I was younger, my family was a little bit bigger, so it was a lot more tight knit. It wasn't to my aunts and my uncles started, passing, and my cousins started dispersing over the, United States, that, families just started becoming a little bit narrow. And then when my grandmother died in 2007, she always said she wanted to see me go to college.
My condolences.
And she died like maybe 2 months before I graduated college. So she was definitely my family support system, the backbone of everything. When she would cook for Thanksgiving, Christmas, everybody would come together. But when she passed, all that stopped. Honestly, when she passed, there was never again a Christmas or a Thanksgiving or a holiday that my family came back together. So therefore, it became a dissonance in my family. But growing up to answer your question, it was a beautiful experience. I enjoyed my cousins. I enjoyed, like, my cousins you remember, I don't know if in England, they used to have those cars that had the little emblems, like the Cadillac emblems on there, the Impala emblems. Like, so back in the day, this is for people my age. You might be a young guy. They used to have the cars that had the emblems on there. So the emblems weren't like just embedded on the cars. There was like a little Cadillac emblem that stuck out from a car. So me and my cousin used to sneak out the house in the middle of the night. He'd wake me up, wake up. He's my older cousin. And just like the movies, we'll jump on his bike. I'm holding on tight, standing up, and we'll ride out all night. And he'll have me helping him take emblems out of people's cars because he collected those emblems. So yeah, it was a good time, good time growing up at least with them. Yeah.
Mm. Man, I totally hear that as well. I mean, obviously, like having a family member, especially if your grandma, if she is the glue, losing that person, again, my condolences as well. Losing that person can change the dynamics in terms of the group and everything. And obviously, you said you were a lot of times you were with your elder cousin. Do you have any siblings as well, or is it just yourself solo?
So I'm the oldest. I have two brothers on my dad's side that I've been connecting with the last few years, and I have a brother and sister on my mother's side.
Oh, okay. Okay. What's the relationship like between you guys? Is it close? Like, do you guys get to talk all the time, or what's the relationship like?
Me and the brothers are good.
Mm.
Not necessarily the dynamics are as close knit with the sister, but brothers were pretty good.
Mm. Okay. Okay, cool. So you said obviously as well that you were getting into fights, Tori. You was out here, chopping up with the hands, showing people a little 1-2-1-2. What was the reason that you was getting into fights then for you? What was the purpose of why you were getting into fights?
Well, the neighborhood that it's called South Line back then. Anybody that's in Alabama know what South Line is like.
Mm.
It's probably a South Line anywhere, and people test you. You know what I'm saying? And you had to know how to fight. And it's like, even in like, I think growing up, like people in South Line, they just like to fight. They would people, it's a instrument to protrude dominance. You know what I'm saying? That's
Mm.
how they were as a kid. But they were welcome to these hands.
Mm.
Um, but that was never a thing that I initiated. Those things like in defense or trying to break up something. I've always been a type of person that like to protect people or at least try
Mm.
to make sure people are okay. Like if I saw somebody being bullied or uh, beat on or something like that, I didn't think that was appropriate. So then I would step in.
Okay. So you ever lose a fight?
I'm an old man, but I still got you. If you need some help, I can hop a flight over to England. We got this. How many we go? Yeah, I'll take 4 of them. You can have and just at least get 2. Get 2. I got 4. That's my limit.
just go make sure, you know what I mean? If I need some help around here, do you know what I mean? Yeah, I know who to call. You feel me? All right, cool. Okay. Now, because obviously, like, the fighting aspect, I wasn't really a fighter myself. Do you know what I mean? I was more of a talker. I like to be slick with the mouth. But if you got them hands, I can understand. Did you feel like maybe fighting also was one of the ways to help you kind of? I know obviously the area is tough as well, but did you ever feel like fighting was also one of those ways that helped you kind of relieve some of the stress maybe that you might have been feeling, or because sometimes being outside the house, you
No,
never feel.
that never. It's nothing I ever wanted to do. Like I said, it was always either the defense of myself or somebody. So, because I don't, condone stuff like that,
Mm,
but it has always been for defense. Nothing that's ever been initiated.
mm. Why do you think that you're such a strong, staunch person on protection? Like, why does that seem to just kind of resonate with you so much?
Um, I think let's mold over that one. It's just some things that you got going on. You feel like I think I've always been a person to you know um, be just coming from what I'm coming from and seeing what I've seen, just saying experiences I've had in life. I think being able to one protect myself and then making sure that others are okay has been something that has been ingrained in me because of just life experiences.
Mm, okay, okay. So obviously, then like you said, you mentioned a little bit as well about being spending time with mom a little bit later on in your life, and we got to see, like I said, there was an interesting conversation with yourself and Precious, which I'm sure we'll explore a little bit later on as well for you. Obviously, within your comfortability range, describe to us or let us into your kind of mindset in terms of the relationship between yourself and your mom. Like, what was that like? You know, how did you feel when you were younger in terms of your relationship with your mom? What was that like for you?
Yeah, I kind of know what you're getting at, and I just not really comfortable with talking about my mother life, but I will just
Mm,
say this and leave it alone. When it comes to my mom did apologize to me years later and just,
mm,
said that, uh, it was a lot going on in her life at that time. You
mm,
know what I'm saying? It is nothing physical like like sex. It was just she wasn't necessarily the nicest person to me. You know what I'm saying?
mm,
And she later on, like I said, apologized for it because, you never know what somebody else went through. You know what I'm saying? Or never know the dynamics between her and my father. You know,
mm,
so I'm so just to cut it short, I didn't have the best childhood.
mm,
I didn't. So I'll keep it short and sweet. But um, that's not neither here and there. It's where I do with it from that point as a grown man. And how do I transition? Because some people take it and they want to be a victim for the rest of their life, and there's some people take it and they want to say, hey, well, I'm gonna show you a better person. This is the person I'm gonna be, and I'm gonna be better than what you thought I was gonna be, and
mm,
succeed from it. And I would like to think I'm that person.
mm. I mean, without obviously, I don't want you to like I said, I want you to be comfortable and not have to speak on certain things. Rather, I would like you to talk about maybe how you felt then, rather than actual what's actually happened. So obviously, like you said, your child wasn't necessarily the best. Looking back at it now, like what were the feelings that you were feeling at that point in time then? Because you're a young black man, like myself, you
Hmm.
know. I myself know, I say it all the time. I have both my parents around, but still I always tell people like my relationship, maybe let's say my dad per se, love him, love my mom too, love my dad. But there were aspects where I needed more emotional connection with my dad. And I can
Hmm.
see how that's affected me now. And I remember how I felt when I was then. So I'm kind of just maybe kind of just seeing in terms of how you feel rather than actually what was done. I don't want you to expose that part, but in terms of how you feel, especially as a young black man growing up as well, the kind of feelings you were kind of going through at that point in time.
Well, growing up, I didn't see a sensitive or emotional family, so it wasn't like there was. I didn't see the where you see like the loving and the family. Even in my grandparents, I didn't really see much emotion. So I didn't know what emotions were or being like sensitive to date. Like I remember my first. I'm gonna answer your question, but this steals off from the first person I ever dated, like my very first girlfriend. Good guy, bring flowers, stuff like that. But when it came to emotional needs, I was never cognizant of what she needed emotionally because I never saw it. I didn't.
Mm,
My mother never gave me those emotions. She never gave me that sensitivity. I didn't see the "I love yous" or the hold the hands and blah blah blah. And growing up, I just thought my mama didn't like me. You know what I'm saying? So
mm,
I'm talking to my daughter's mom now because she's very got a good relationship with my mom. She was like, "With Tori, I just feel like, and it's weird because we talk and she has a good relationship with my mom. She like she just thinks she has a thing with men. She said, but then I was like, well, she treats my brother like this way. I said she maybe sees your dad every
mm,
time she sees you, and that's the way. That's why she treated you
that way.
that way when you grew up. And so I didn't see the emotions or the loving side, and those are the things that I lack. I had to learn them myself through
Mm,
relationships and people growing up, how to do certain things or how to address certain things or how to have these conversations or oh well I didn't know I was supposed to be sensitive. Like I've I've had people I've dated people and they say, well, you're not very sensitive, you know you're not very emotional, you don't say these things. Like I'm more of an action person. I'll do it. I go buy you
mm,
flowers, I go do this and that. I do it through actions. I might not necessarily say I love you or or those little sweet little things to give you affirmation. I do it through actions. So
mm.
growing up, I didn't see that. So I think I was pretty much self-taught on a lot of things. or like we say, classroom taught.
Mm. Mm.
You know, your classmates start to teach you more than our home. But I started to realize that the more people I talk to, is a generational thing. It's not just like me.
Yeah, I mean, and you just basically explain a lot of what a lot of us kind of go through in terms of like what you're saying, which is a lot of us learn on the job, like later on in life. Because our parents are like, a lot of them are trying to survive. They're trying to make it through life. They come from difficult backgrounds. Like I said, your mom came from a military background. My parents came from Africa to another country. They're dealing with racism. They're dealing with, your qualifications don't mean as much. They're dealing with people belittling them. There's so many different things that are coming their way when our parents are having to assimilate, and try and make it through life. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes what happens, we become, unfortunately, the sacrifice, which is that, the energy that's spent out there working and trying to make things happen. When it comes to us, we don't get the best of what we actually need from our parent guide, or should I say, the persons who look after us. So, yeah, I mean, I totally understand that point as well. And you mentioned a really good point. You said you get that revelation that was given to you, that potentially if she maybe saw your father in you, when that revelation came, how did that impact you as an individual person when that was revealed to you and you got that understanding? Okay, maybe she saw my father in me. What was the impact for you?
Well, it's funny because that conversation was happened like 3 days ago when I picked up my daughter,
Oh,
and I
man.
talked to her mom. So, because I was like, we was me and her was having a conversation about my mom, and she was telling me how she felt like, because I feel like it's nothing that my daughters can do. Whatever, I'm going to make sure as their father that they're okay. I'm gonna reach out to them. I'm gonna be able to pick up the phone with them. That is not how my family works. So to me, I am aloof as a male, a father, a producer of children, to why I don't want to make sure they are okay in a sense of being able to talk to them and communicate with them verbally. So, she said she's had conversations with my mother in that regards. And it's just like, but first she was like, I think she don't like, she'll tell me she don't like men. So you have to like, there's a quote unquote term I heard like as the last few years, women that say they're man haters. They grew up, they had a difficult time with men in their life. So as they got in the old age, they become man haters. I've heard that term recently. But then, I was like, well, she's pretty good to my brother. But I think with me, I think it's just maybe stemmed from my father. To answer your question, I'm not make sure I'm dancing around the answer, but
No, you're doing good.
My transition from that of how she treated me. Now she's had good moments. I think at some point she tries to make up for things. She's done like my first property. She gave me some money for that first property. I was able to give her money back plus interest,
Come on now.
in 3 months. And this is one thing I've always wanted her to see about me. I never, there's different people. You meet women and you meet men that will ask for money. There's a difference between meeting somebody that will ask for money and will ask to borrow money and give you a set date to pay you back. That's character.
Yeah.
Because, a lot of my family will say, hey, let me get this, let me get that. I don't owe you nothing. You don't owe me nothing. Well, if I ask, I'm gonna pay. And when she gave me that, as soon as it touched my hands, the next day it was in hers. Because I always wanted to show her, regardless of what I've been through with you or how I lived, and because I've been money, like I tell people, money come and go. I've been piss poor and I've had money. I've been piss poor. I've lived on a couch in a house, piss poor. I've had more money than I can count. It comes and goes in waves sometimes. Who I am today is not who I am. Who I am tomorrow is not who I am today. And who I am today might not be who I am the next day.
Yeah.
But one thing I could be consistent with is my character as an individual and doing the things that I say I'm gonna do. And I've always wanted her to at least have an understanding. As a male, I got 2 beautiful daughters. I take care of mine. As a father, I distill those values. I have those conversations that I didn't have. Even with my 15-year-old, there will be physical changes. as an adult in my age, nobody had that conversation with me. I didn't know what the hell was going on. I have those conversations. As a individual, I live up to my word. If I tell somebody I'm gonna do something, I do it without them having to remind me. If I borrow money on that date, you will have your money back, which I don't borrow money anyway, but those are the things that, are values. And I don't think you can teach those things. I think they got to be ingrained in you. You got to want to do better. Some people don't want to do better.
I agree. And you know what? I always ask these line of questions because, even like I said, I totally understand the impact for us when we grow up, especially as young Black males as well. And I think I might have said this before, maybe I haven't said before, but like what you just mentioned there was really important, right? But just like the fact your mum being able to see you do what you do, like it's such a big thing as a young child. I remember my dad never really used to come to, I used to play football, soccer for you guys, right? Soccer. Never really used to come to the games, not because he didn't want to necessarily, but working. You got to put food on the table. That's the first and foremost thing, right? And I remember me and my brother were involved in acting. So we did a play some years back, right? Both of us were involved in it, and our dad came, yeah. And obviously the character that I was playing towards the end has to cry at the end because they lose their partner in the show. And I looked into the crowd and I could just about make him out in the crowd, yeah. And so I just start weeping. Now people think it's part of the show. It wasn't. It's because I saw him there. And just the importance of him being there made me break down. In fact, it wasn't just me. My brother also broke down too, my younger brother. And we're just breaking down. And then after we finished the scene, we're breaking down behind the scenes. Everyone's thinking we're crying because we finished the show. We're thinking, no, we were breaking down because it's like finally, to have the parent be there present at a moment like that is so key. It's little things. It's not, it's not the big things. It's like, I don't need a PS4. I don't need a brand new TV. They're great. But it's those little moments where, like you said, if you're flipping a property and your parent can tell you, well done, people don't get it. Like, that's a big thing. I don't, you know what I mean? Like, so it's those little things that make such a big difference to, it makes such a big difference between, for people, because that presence is important. You can't get that time back, and yeah, man, it's just a lot. So I definitely hear what you're saying about, even just the money situation and mum being able to lend you money and you giving it back and everything. It's a big thing.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit, for a few years we had a relationship and a dynamic that I felt like maybe it's in my adulthood, after, I think it was probably within it lasted for about maybe 4 years, where I felt like she was trying to connect with me and catch up for that time. And it felt like a wonderful experience. Like, oh yeah, I finally got somebody that sees me, recognizes me. And my thing I think with her, with me, it's just, I think it's always going to be that disconnect because she's had it for so long.
Yeah.
And I believe she tries to a certain extent, but I think she will never see me. It's a difference between seeing somebody because they're there and seeing somebody who, and it's a difference. Like, man can come home to the best, beautiful woman every day, one that cooks and cleans. But do you see her? Do you see what you got? Do you see the value? Do you see the work that she took time to cook you that meal? Make sure the house is clean, or, make sure you're okay. Those little small steps, people trying to move over and they mold over. They don't, it's like that person is there. But do you see that value in that person? It's like stock to me. It's like, the value of how somebody unintentionally moves with intentions with you is very valuable, because you don't get that genuine connection from a lot of people. And this is not just about relationship. This is about family. This is about friends. A friend that still to this day will say, hey, are you good, Tori? how you been, Tori? You know what I'm saying? I haven't talked to you in a while, man, but I miss you. Next time I see you in town, we're gonna go have drinks. And this transpires throughout years. I have few people in my life, that I still have that connection with, whether it be, my homies or a female that just says, you know what, I just want to check on you good, man. I ain't talking about 6 months, but I'm gonna hear from you within the next year or so, regardless, because those are genuine connections. They've seen value in your life.
Yeah, bro. Listen, you're talking truth right there, bro. And firstborn to firstborn, it as well. Like, but I'm hearing what you're saying, bro. Like, and I think even for just on the back of what you're saying in terms of even, just on the back of what you're saying in terms of being seen, that ability of someone noticing you, like it's a huge thing. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's what I think what we're talking about here is like, it's that presence over presence. You know what I'm saying? It's like being presence rather than just buying presents. Like, that's so much more important. It's that paying attention to how, let's say, for your perspective, how Tory grew up and what he's like, and paying a little attention to, hey, bro, you good? Like, just making sure that you're okay. And people having that genuine interest to make sure that you're good means that I remembered you, I thought about you, and I've seen you. And I can even say, even in regards to that myself, where I know that from the way I grew up as a kid, I even now, I remember a situation where I found it difficult to even express proper gratitude to my parents. Let's say, for instance, I remember one time I was at church and my dad was preaching, and he was preaching.
Oh, he's a preacher. You a preacher's son?
Yeah, my mom was a pastor for a little while, and my dad's a bit more of a teacher. Yeah, in a sense, yeah.
Oh, you were bad. I know you was bad. I never met a preacher's son or a pastor's son that wasn't bad.
And you ain't gonna meet in this one, okay? Because I'm probably bad too, bro. I was bad too, bro. I had my little mischiefs that I was on to. Do you know what I mean? And he was preaching at the time, and he finished the preaching. And I remember I said to myself, "Yeah, the preaching was lit. No, the teaching was lit. It was lit. It was wavy." And everybody said, "Well done," and I struggled to say "well done."
Mm-hmm.
Like, in my head, I heard it, but the words wouldn't come out. Do you know what I mean? And it's because how he's taught me is almost in the sense of, and I get it, because obviously the way he sees things, he didn't have a dad, so for him it's a bit different, isn't it? But I remember looking and I was like, I can't say it, and I was like, why can't I say it? Like, I can hear the words in my head. Just say, yo, like, well done. And I could not say it, bro.
And transition verbally, yeah.
It wouldn't transition verbally. And then that's like when I kind of became aware that, I remember I had a girlfriend at a time, one girlfriend way back as well. And she said, you never tell me that you think I'm beautiful. I'm like, but you know you're beautiful. What do you want me to tell you for? Like, I don't understand what you want me to tell you. Like, you buff. Like, why do you think I chose you? Like, you think I chose an ugly gal? Come on, man, don't be silly. But it's because I never had that from this side. Like, my parents never really gave me that, in the sense of let me say my dad, in a sense, never really gave me that. So I just translated that into a relationship. So my first girlfriend was complaining. I'm like, why are you complaining about me telling you that you look buff? Like, of course you look good. Do you understand? Like, you don't need me to tell you every day. You know what I'm saying? And it's just little things like that, bro. So you were gonna say, bro. Yeah. Oh, sorry. It froze a little bit. Sorry, my bad, bro. Yeah, continue. Sorry.
No, I didn't say anything.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I'm sorry. That might be my daughter in the background. I told her to keep it quiet. But...
No, it wasn't her. I think it froze for me. That's why. No, you're good. Gotcha. But yeah, it just I realized the difficulties of when you're not fed that, then having to try and translate that. It's difficult, bro.
You know what? You said something that just spoke to my soul, and I had this conversation with somebody recently. Actually, I had this conversation with my ex, where I had a conversation with her where she's like, well, you don't say this, or you didn't say that, or this and that. And I'm like, well, I think you already understand it. Like, I shouldn't have to say it. Like, I shouldn't have to say I'm with you. So you should know you're beautiful, or you know you're the one. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, I got to say something that's not obvious. I would not be talking to you or messing with you.
Exactly.
Yeah. Or, or like, but, or it's just might be the simple things that I didn't say And you realize people sometimes need that.
Yes.
Because my perception is you already have that understood. You just like, this is one of my biggest peeves when they start dating somebody new. This is one of my peeves. If you call them and say, hey, well, definitely, if you talk to them and you say, well, man, I would love to be this, and this, and A, B, C to you. The understood you is, of course, I need to get to know you. Don't you think I didn't know that? Like, I shouldn't have to say, of course, I need to. But, a lot of women need that validation. Well, let me, of course, I'm going to get to know you. But in my head, it's like, come on now, use your common sense. Like, this is based on me getting to know you. But some people need things said out loud to them, but just like me, I'm one of the people that think you already understand that we're on the same page. I want to get to know you. And once we get to know each other, if we're compatible, then we're going to be I'm trying to make A, B, C, D, and G, but some people have to have that understood you. And I think where you go and you're trying to translate me, like, of course, you should already know this. I shouldn't have to say this, but some people need to hear that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
We perceive things differently.
We do, and that's that key point of when people are being aware, when we're those of us who are, especially as men, becoming more aware. I think you do begin to realize, what, there are aspects of me that have been impacted. Do you know what I mean? Like that's why I was kind of hearing what you were saying about, the emotional aspects, not having that necessarily, and then going into relationships and then having to kind of learn on the job. That's essentially what I had, the same thing, which is I learned on the job. You know what I mean? Like in terms of, oh, that's not what you're supposed to do, or, oh, you need this, oh, you have to actually say this, or do you know what I mean? Or even me, myself, even some of the needs that I had, I was expecting people to know the needs because I'm anticipating your need. Do you know what I'm saying? So then I was expecting people to kind of read my needs because I'm like, well, when you need a need, I don't even have to ask. I just kind of do it. So why can't you also just do it?
Facts. I've been there too. I relate to that. I'm the same way. Like, if I know you need something, I'm gonna handle it. I'm gonna take care of it. Like, you don't have to tell me, but then some people you gotta tell. And I think that's like how I am. Like, I'm action based. Some people are reaction based. And you have to understand who you're dealing with. And it's also compatibility level too. But I do concur with you because that has been some points where I'm like, why do I got to say anything? Like, you ain't got to tell me nothing. Or like, I'm big on like keeping my word. I don't care if I tell you to do something next year and you ain't got to remind me that date. I'm going to remember that, and that's going to be done, or I'm going to bring it to you. Some people you got to, like, hey, you're going to do that? Or they feel like you got to remind them, even if they do remember. Why do I got to remind you? Even if you remember, why don't you trying to wait till I say something? Like, nah, I shouldn't have to do that. Let me know if the background noise is a little too.
No, you're good.
Okay. Because it's past her bedtime and she's taking advantage.
Hey, listen, I hear you, man. I would have done the same. I would do the same, bro. I'll have to let her live on this one. So like obviously for you, then obviously I know we spoke a lot about your mom and everything and your feelings towards that. But I mean, again, if you feel comfortable sharing that, what was the kind of relationship you had then with your father? Then what was the extent of the relationship you had?
So me growing up, I remember him calling and here and there, and I remember him sending videos, like cassette tapes from like his travels and trips. But I can only remember seeing him a few times growing up. So it really wasn't like a strong relationship. It was like, oh, I see you went to Disney World, on this cassette tape, or, and looking back, it's nice that he took time to do that. You don't really understand and appreciate when you're younger, but all you know is that somebody's not physically present. And now me being a father, dealing with the interactions of other individuals that, have partaken in developing my child, then I realized maybe sometimes we are so rash to blame the other individual, but then we don't look outside of ourselves in our own situation. It may or may not be, everybody has their own side that is necessarily his fault that he wasn't around. It may have been. Like I've had a little pushback at with my daughters, but I made sure, like, I'm here. I ain't going nowhere. Like, look, like it or not, I'm Pops. Like, this is. So I think everybody goes. It's depending on the individuals who they're gonna go the extra mile if you want to be there. I put my foot down. So, my daughters, they know their father. I cut the umbilical cord out both of them. I was the first to hold them. I named them. It's a difference. I get Father's Day gifts. I get Christmas gifts. Um, there's a difference. It's a difference. Like, and I get respect from their mothers. So,
that's such a rare thing for you to share as well, because, like it or not, we have to be honest. Our generations and generations past, generations are probably going to come as well. A lot of times, it is common to see fellow men not being involved in their child's life. So to see you so heavily involved to that extent is more than commendable. It's so important, and I actually appreciate that, what I'm saying, because like we said earlier on, presence is better than the presence. So the fact that you decide that and you've pushed for that, I kind of get the gist already, but I mean, what's a motivating drive for you then to want to be so heavily involved in your daughter's lives? Like, what's the driving force for you? What's the kind of motivating thoughts for you?
The motivating thought and the drive for me with my daughters was, I think it's different now don't get me wrong, I feel like everybody has a different capacity to relationships. But the fact that I was involved with their mothers, in a relationship, and I had that rapport with them. That's one I think a lot of people don't understand. You have to have a rapport with the woman. I had a rapport with their daughters' mothers, and to give them the opportunity to be the dad that I didn't have. You know what I'm saying? And to me, daughters need their fathers, even more than boys, because we set those standards of how you are going to be treated. Like, I talk to my oldest, my 15-year-olds, hey, if a man can't open your door, he can't even open your can of soda. There ain't nothing he can do for you. You know what I'm saying? My daughter, we have those relatable conversations, and to see them grow. And I think it's also, like, to me, it's like planting a seed. You plant a seed, you watch it grow and develop.
Yeah.
And you see it bear fruit. So to be a part of the nurturing and seeing them flourish it has been a blessing. It ain't been an easy road. Trust me. It ain't an easy road. You can't hear her, but she back there taking a van. Well, she got a whole concert going on back there. She's like, yes, he is not saying anything. She remind me of me. She's that one to wait till I go to sleep. She think she's slick. I heard on her iPad last night. I was like, hold up, go to bed. Like in the middle of the night, 1 o'clock, she thinks she's sleep because she knows I'm an old man. So about 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, I'm asleep. This one starts creeping around. You done made her night, little black book. You done made her night. She probably gonna send you a postcard in the morning.
You saved me. Another day. But I love that as well. Honestly, we can't hear her, so she's good. But I love that. And I really want to ask this question because, I think, again, you're a rare breed, and I'm not trying to blow smoke up your ass, but I'm genuinely being serious, and I think the audience can agree with this as well, because of the consciousness that you have. You know what I mean? Like the mindfulness that you have. And I'm inclined to ask that question. I don't know if you can even ask it, but where does the mindfulness come from? Like, why are you so conscious of making a change? Because some people want to make a change, but it never translates into actual action. And from the sounds of it, you are being very conscious about the way you're going about it. How have you got to that point? You know what I mean?
A lot of trial, error, and failure. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you, one of the biggest phrases that, and I said it earlier, you can't be you yesterday if you plan on improving. And as a person, and I'm assuming the question is just general, not related to my daughters specifically. As I got older, I started stepping outside of myself and realizing, and this is one of the key factors you said, people perceive things differently. So let me look at it as what somebody else may see it, and not necessarily what Tori sees it. You know, and granted, some people are just flat out wrong, but sometimes that because I don't want to say that, and then it's like, oh, you look at it and they might be no. Sometimes people are just flat out wrong. But let me step out and see their perception of how they see it, and I think it grows from having an understanding of yourself. I've been through a lot. Like when I say your boy been through a lot in life, I've been through a lot, and to be able to be here now and just thank God, like to have a roof over my head, a car to drive, food in my fridge, a beautiful daughter that's healthy, to have my own health, to be able to go to the gym. You do not know how it's a blessing from where I came from. It is a blessing. I have to tell myself, Tori, no matter how bad things are, you think you not where you need to be in life. There is somebody right now doing okay at home thinking like, why am I not doing well in life? Because you're looking at the next man. It's because you're looking at the next woman. Even though we're not looking at ourselves. We're too busy comparing ourselves to the next person in our life. So the next person is doing well. And I did that for the longest until I had to start looking at me. And because this so many of us thinking the same thing. I'm no different from the next female that's watching this live or the male watching this live. I just sat there, been at home, depressed because I felt like I ain't done what I need to do in life. I went that midlife crisis because I ain't got that job I wanted. Oh, you ain't got that relationship. Why me? Are you not attractive enough? Are you not in shape enough? Trust me. Your viewers, is one of you. It's a lot of you out there thinking the same thing, going through the same thing, but because we're always comparing ourselves to other people, you are right where you need to be in your life right now, and it's making you stronger. And I think that's what I had to step outside of my box as Tory and start looking at things differently for me, and also think that I'm blessed because I could be living on the street. I could be sitting there not having a job or no food in my mouth. There's always somebody doing worse. So we always like to look at how good somebody's doing. Take time to look at how bad other people are doing, and see that you may be just blessed. But to better answer your question, I stepped outside of myself, and I try to understand other people because I know the things I've been through. How can I judge somebody else and cast stones for being imperfected and not perfect when I am not perfect? I am still developing. I am still growing as a man. There's things I still need to work on. That's mostly mentally and physically, So stepping outside of who I am and being able to understand me for one, and then taking time to understand others. Just don't see the things that you see in the exact same way. And I'm gonna leave it right here. I got one more thing to say.
Good.
There's people that look at the glass half full. There's people that look at the glass half empty. Two different perspectives. There's people that believe trust is given to its loss, and people that believe you need to earn trust. We're striving for the same thing, but we're trying to get it in a different way. Yeah.
You know what? It's interesting. I wonder if you ever thought about this. So what you described there about stepping out yourself and kind of seeing things from a different point of view, right? I feel that's like we said, we're saying similar things in the terms of why we started having a revolution in the way that we think. I'm wondering if, I know for me, partly what motivated me, or now I look back at it, I go, I think I know what kind of motivates me in terms of why I see things from other people's point of view. I think partly that's just my nature, but I also feel like the circumstances of life also force that, in the sense of the fact that it's a protection piece right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I always said, I mentioned Will Smith said something really powerful one day, and it made me understand. He said the reason why he became so in tune with people's emotions and I'm able to understand it was that when he was dealing with his dad, and I could really like measure this because it made sense to me, was that the reason why he could understand emotions, everything like that, was that he was preempting these things. So like when his dad would come home, he knew that just by the way his dad was walking up to the door, the way he unlocked the door, the way he got inside the house, what mood he was in. And in order to protect himself from what may come next, if it was good or bad, he had to kind of learn how to almost preempt what was coming. And I started to realize, raw, that's like, I think me, like, I'm not saying my dad was abusive, but yo, when he gets angry, everybody knows what it is, fam. Everyone's got to scatter quick, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he gonna get frustrated, you know, and anything can trigger him that day, innit?
Mm-hmm.
So I remember myself as a kid, I was like, I also started learning the patterns of how people come up the stairs, how people come through the door, how people say your name when they first get into the house. I started picking up all these patterns. I started realizing I'm actually starting to. So when I got older, I started realizing, oh, I'm starting to interpret. So now I start to interpret people's emotions well before they even start saying anything. I'm like, oh, I can sense it. Oh, this is gonna go the way you going. So I'm wondering if if that's a similar thing for yourself, maybe, or if you've kind of noticed that in your kind of growth in that area as well.
Yeah, I call it reading people, and I'm very cognizant on how people move, and I think I've developed an ability to be able to read people. So certain actions based off past experiences have educated me to certain patterns that certain people have, and it may be conducive to either toxic traits or positive traits. And I think, like with me, because I think Donovan said it best to me, because I was like, well, type of person I am, I might not say nothing. I'll just peep it out. You know what I'm saying? And I'll just disconnect. You know what I'm saying? And because I was like, because how I see other people move, I feel like that's emotional. When people got to say something all the time, or they got to have words for everything. And me, I just might shut the hell on, keep it moving. I like disappear in the background or whatever. And he said that to me. He was like, "Bruh, that's emotion," And I'm like, "What the hell are you talking about, bro? There ain't no emotion. Like, I don't say nothing. I just let it be." But as I analyzed later, I was like, "Yeah, it is an emotion. It's an emotion. It's to disconnect from the situation."
Same.
And so to answer your question, yes.
So, I mean, for you to obviously then growing up, then getting into relationships and stuff like that, then talk to us a little bit about these relationships, bro. Because, I mean, my relationship, history is interesting as well. So, like, talk to us about your kind of dating life. How was that like? In fact, let me ask a specific question. What was your first love like? What was your first love like?
My first love was honestly at the time the most amazing woman in the world.
Love that.
I remember her. I remember her name. I ain't gonna say it. I was like, let's say it. Her name was Cynthia. One of the most amazing women in the world, because she deserved praise. And to me, like, she was more bold than I was. She was like, because her parents didn't really pretty much care for me or whatever. Or her dad loved me, but her mom just didn't care. She was like, her mom was like how you parents are, like preacher, like very, very religious. And I messed up one time and called her babe in front of her, or babe in front of her mom. And since then, she was like, "Mama, babe, just because you called me babe." She was like, she looked at me. She said, "I can't believe he called you babe." And she said she liked you, but since then she hated your guts. I said, "Oh, one word." She's like, "Yeah, she's very religious." But she was a good girl, very good girl. And she was actually, honestly, bolder than me. Like, I remember I felt like at that point she loved me so much. She was like, "Forget this. Like, we Romeo and Juliet." And I was the one like, pause, like, I care, but I'm not about to get us in trouble. You know what I'm saying? Like, she was like, "I want to go to the Joe concert." Like, so I don't know if she might be telling you this. I snuck into the Joe concert. She hopped out the window. It was like Romeo and Juliet. We at the Joe concert. She didn't even, like, her parents didn't even know she was gone. But she was always like, forget it. Like, homecoming night, like, her parents wanted her back at like 11. I'm like, homecoming don't start at 10. And we're going to go in there and turn around. She was like, forget it. Like, we're going to stay out all night. She was the bold one. She was the brave one. She was definitely a good girl. But what I would say in her is that I learned since dealing with my mom, I didn't see how to nurture a relationship because I didn't get it. And additionally, I didn't know that action sometimes needs those words of affirmation because I never seen those words of affirmation. I remember taking mine. I never got the I love yous or I care for yous or you're going to be good. And like, I got a bunch of not good words and, stuff like that. How they used to say everything but a child of God. Yeah. So I didn't know. And then my reaction to things wasn't proper as well because, I felt like, certain things I would just stop talking or disconnect or I'll stop communicating for a day. And, I thought that was okay. And it wasn't okay. You know what I'm saying? Because, my mom go days without talking to me. You know what I'm saying? And not let me blame anything or everything on my mom because I saw my grandparents too. I just didn't I didn't have a fine example of what healthy relationships were until later on in life. But her name was Cynthia, most wonderful girlfriend. Like she got, she just got tired of me, and I don't blame her. I would have got tired of me too. I was not feeding her emotionally. She loved me, but you got to water your plants. Yeah. And those are the same things to people. You got to water them with the words and let them know that there are, because I never cheated on, never even thought about another woman when I was with her. But does she know that? You know what I'm saying? That's the problem with, I think, a lot of us men. We're with you. Of course you should know that. But does she really?
Does she? Yeah.
And because they might see us as attractive guys or or somebody else might have a comment because our friends are like, oh, he's a nice attractive guy or whatever. And they see what the world sees. So do they see that, you only have eyes for them? But that was pretty it. And then I also realized too,
talk to us.
Me being who I was growing up. I remember one of my girlfriends later on in college said, and I never thought about it. Every relationship taught me something different. Same. She was like, you're the meat and potatoes guy. She was like, you went to Applebee's and taking mine Applebee's. I hate Applebee's. I haven't been to Applebee's. Please, Applebee's, don't sue me. But I would go to the same couple of restaurants growing up from high school to the first or second year in college. Same restaurants. It never dawned on me to go to another restaurant. It was never a thought in my mind until I went out with this girl I was in love with, named Sheila. And so she was like, "You're the meat and potatoes guy." And she was like, "Yeah, you stick to what you know. You don't deviate.
Same.
You know what you want on the menu.
Yeah.
You probably order off pictures." And she was right. Like it's like what changed me throughout my life and my path was meeting different women to bring something to my attention. I didn't know this. Wow. Why didn't I think of it? I didn't know I was doing this. Why didn't I think of it? Like I was doing this. I had the same patterns because nobody brought it to my attention because I didn't know. I didn't see that. Nobody, it's like those changes you make when like, oh, okay.
The blind spots.
Yeah. And that light bulb comes on and like you start making those changes. So that's those relationships of dates, the failures, the successes, the trials, the tribulations, meeting the wrong people. I fell in love with the wrong people that were, cheaters, and I chose to let them go. You know what I'm saying? or just was playing games, to get me back. Like I was, my family didn't educate me to, oh, Tori, women will play those games. They will cry and pretend like they're about to die. If you're going to leave them and stop talking to them in college, but it's a game. They just they play off your emotions, not. This is why I feel it's important when I distill in my oldest daughter, educating them to dating. A lot of people are afraid of that. Educating to potential experiences. If in a room with a guy and you in college, make sure that door is open. You always stand by the door. Like educating them to experience, because if they in situations and I didn't do it, that is my fault as a father, my fault as a man, because I didn't give them an opportunity. There's a lot of opportunities that I failed at because I used to like older women, so I was dating older women.
Okay.
Yeah. So yes, one of my my grandmother hated this one girl. She was in the military, and she was probably maybe 3 or 4 years older than me. And the first time I didn't come home because I got tired of that come home. But just say that older woman time. Wait a minute. Yes, Lord.
Yes, Lord.
Yeah.
Ooh, child.
Just say she was blessed. She was cool looking to a lot. But my grandmother hated her, and I would never forget what my grandmother said. You lay down with dogs, catch fleas. I'm like, what are you talking about? Whatever. And nothing with that. But anyway, she was like, her term was, you lay down with bad people. You talk to bad people. Tori, you got to understand that everybody that treats you good, treats you kind, have the best intentions. And as an older man, I realize that now. I used to think a woman with good traits meant good intentions. And I had to realize, I'm sitting here looking from a man from the South. I'm looking for a woman that, cooks, can cleans, that gives me that tender love and affection, blah, blah, blah. But is her mind okay? She has good intentions, but where is her mindset? Because people with good intentions don't mean they have a good mind.
Yeah.
People with good hearts don't mean they're stable. People that have good jobs don't mean they budget properly. Everything is there for perspective and perception. But when perception doesn't equal reality, that's when we fail. So going back to what you said, Samthea was my number one, and going out through our life dating, it took another woman to bring something to my attention in regards to Tori changing and developing and understanding and realizing, and not just necessarily women, homies, friends in my life in business, my homies, and said, hey, Tori, why you not doing this? Why you didn't get this LLC? Why you doing it that hard way? Why you not doing it this way? There's a book blueprint. Here's the book. Why don't you read that book? So, and I'm the type of person, when somebody tells me something, I fact check it, I read it, I learn it. I am not no better than the man on the street. I'm no better than you. I'm no better than anybody I would meet. I feel like every day I can improve. And when I learn, I try to utilize that knowledge. And that's even about self-reflection.
Love that, man. And I love what you shared as well in terms of like the disconnect part, because that is such a big thing, what you're talking about there, because again, and that is something I've spoken about on this channel quite a bit, the emotional disconnect for men specifically. Women do it too, but just for us as men specifically, that disconnect part, because when we are overloaded with having to try and uncurl the wires of emotion. I think I spoke about this on the channel, talking about emotional regulation, talking about how we should be able to understand, process, and express. And when we are struggling to find a language to kind of express, we can shut down and we can disconnect because it becomes overwhelming, because there's a lot that's coming up at that time. And then there's a difficulty in that moment to be able to kind of like say, hey, this is what I'm going through. So it becomes so much, it gets to here. And then it's like any computer that gets too hot, it goes do-do-do, do-do. and it shuts down, you know. So when you were talking about that disconnect, I totally understood, you know, as well from that point of view, that just because you've given us a bit of a background in terms of what you've experienced, and I can kind of relate to it, that shutdown process where we disconnect from the person, and we think it's normal because it's like and until someone tells you, you just do it. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, but sometimes it needs to be done. Don't get me wrong. It works for certain people, but sometimes it does need to be, when you're dealing with the wrong people in your life, you do need to
Fair enough.
disconnect. You know, unfortunately, like, we connect. Sometimes we stay connected too long to the wrong person.
I agree.
And that's why we waste a lot of time.
That's a fair point. Okay, so then obviously, my last few questions before we get into Ready to Love stuff. For you then, obviously, then I know you have, you said 2 daughters, right? So you have 2 daughters, 15, 8, and 8 as well, or 7, as you said, actually, specifically. So obviously, like I said, you said you had a connection with these ladies as well. So obviously, without obviously exposing everything, but I mean, what was those 2 relationships like? Because someone might ask, well, then why are you not with the mother of your kids then?
Yeah. So I'll leave the first situation alone because I'll leave that alone. But you know, she was older than me, but you know, we had good dynamics. It was just a situation where I felt like I think I had to leave it alone, you know, and where I'm saying, because, like, you know, I have great relationships with them.
Yeah.
So it's definitely like, you know, but just say at that point in our situation, I don't think she was fully ready to be settled down until we had our daughter. And then when we had our daughter, the roles reversed. And I think to that point when we had our daughter, I had disconnected, because you know, I gave you a certain portion of me, and it was multiple times that we kept having to go over the same situations. It wasn't just one time; it was several times. You know what I'm saying? And I just think that beyond that point, it was like, well, I was there for my daughter. You know, I was in that situation for my daughter. My daughter's here now. But before that, it was just a situation where it wasn't okay. Things weren't cool. What you're doing wasn't right. You know what I'm saying? Why do I got to keep talking to you about this? You know what I'm saying? It's not cool. Because the roles were reversed, you know, it would be cool. You know what I'm saying? Now, as for my current daughter mom, you know, those are one of the situations where we work well together, but we just realized we weren't compatible, you know. And that's just a situation where we just wasn't compatible, but we did try to hold on to the relationship longer than we can. So it was nothing necessarily on my end or her end, but we realized we're not compatible. And sometimes, just for the family's sake, she did get in that situation, she did get pregnant early, and we was like, what we're going to do the family, but we weren't compatible. You know, I'm one of them people that like people, you know, like if I'm dealing with somebody, be a little bit more self-sufficient, or, you know, to be able to navigate when things are, you know, they're personal in their life, they can still function. You know, she wasn't one of those people that can function. She'll shut down for days. So we're not talking for days on something that me and you don't even have an issue about. You know, you might have an issue with your family, and we still, why is it coming to me? You know what I'm saying? Like, of course, I'm the closest person in your life, but we should be able to communicate and drop. It's like, should be just like, we're in the same household, there's no talking, and we're not going to communicate, or I feel like you're not expressing yourself. And, you know, I just think that we loved differently too, as well. Yeah. So, I mean, but I understand. With her, she was through a lot in her life. She's been through a lot. She's been through much as me. You know what I'm saying? And I am so proud. Well, she hates when I say I'm proud of her, but I am very, very proud of her, and how she has transitioned into the woman that she is now. Very proud.
Love that. Love that. From your perspective then, because like when I look back at some of the women I've dated, irrespective of what they've done or what they haven't done, I look back at maybe my choices. So I look back and then go, okay, is there a pattern to the type of woman that I keep going for? So my question to you is there a pattern?
Yes, and yes. Yes. But honestly, I realize there's different patterns of women that I like. Even when I step outside of my box, like when I was younger, like I told you, I thought certain traits equal good woman. You know what I'm saying? And then it wasn't later on, so I realized a bad woman can have all those good traits. I think also with me, and I think this is one of the points you're getting at too, is I've met people where I took time to. This is no situation in the world to show, but I'm one of those people. And this is why I was the way. I've taken time where I overlook things because, to just reach success. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just want that success. This is how I feel. I feel those butterflies. This feels like my fairy tale until your fairy tale feels like a train wreck. And you like, oh, I got this new car. New car smells so good in this car. And then you realize, this ain't the car for you. Why did I get this car? And then you end up in an accident. But yes, I've had the pattern of picking the wrong women. And then I think when I went into our current process, I wanted to be a little bit more selective.
Okay.
Yeah, but don't get me wrong. Now, I haven't always been a perfect guy myself. Now,
of course.
So I would never act holier than thou. I would never say I'm the best man. And I do get, I do appreciate the women that come in my life. They have always told me positive things about myself and spoken well, even to now. But I'm not gonna sit here and be like, "Oh, Tori is a perfect guy." I still can grow as a man.
No, I appreciate it. And I don't think it's coming across like that at all. So I think you're showing that you're accountable and you're somebody who's learning. So I don't think that's come across at all. I think you're fine on that. Just to push you a little bit then. So for you, what did you pick up about you then? So you would, because let me give you an example. My personal one is when I was choosing women, I like you, bro. I like that spark. And I think I just said to a girl even just today, I was like, I just clocked something. Like I had a savior complex. I like women that, you know what? I want to save you.
Yeah, I've been there, brother. I'm with you. I've done that too. I've been there too. Like, yes, let me put my cape on, mask, like Drake say, mask in a cape. Someone life rafts.
So that's my one. That was my one. And there's still shards of it I see, and I'm still working to remove the shards. But for yourself, what would you say is your kind of thing then was for you then? What was when you look at your decision making while you're choosing certain women, what would you say is your kind of thing that you were noticing is similar in each particular woman?
It's two. There's two patterns. If I look back and I just openly hearted to say to myself, I pick an independent woman that's, I feel like mostly developed.
Yes.
And like career wise, got herself.
Got things together. Yes.
Yeah. So it's two different types of women. I'm about to go through the first one. Those are the ones I gravitate to and fall hard for. You know what I'm saying? And those are the ones like I always feel that. Now that never works out for me because I've started to learn a lot of those are mostly starved. Like there's something about them that is not right. And I hate to say that, but those are the ones I actually always be in love with. Like I'm ready to put that ring on your finger. You know what I'm saying? I feel that passion. And the other kind is those whom I need to say. Those are the ones I hold on to the longest. And I feel like it never works out because you always consistently got to say it. Like it never stops. It's always You fix one problem for them, it's another problem. Fix that problem, it's another problem. It's like, oh my God, when the problems are going to stop, it's like holes in your boat. You plug up one hole, there's another hole, and it's like you're drowning. You start drowning. You know, and I'm just giving you insight. That's why it happened to me in my first, my last stuff. I was drowning. You know what I'm saying? It was always something after another to the point I couldn't breathe anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like that's why and I stood there because for the sake of our daughter, because but I was drowning. In fact, I had one little straw left, and if we continued, I'd probably be dead. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like I have to save their people. I have to be there for them. I have to, fix that problem for them. I can't let them down because now they're here. And I'm staying in a situation longer than I'm expecting. So those are the two situations. The first one never works out for me. It's the one that I seek the most. And the second one is the one I tend to stay in. But it's always a consistent problem. It's like, it's okay to have a couple problems. But but unfortunately, I think I picked one on that end that just always never stop having problems.
Bro, man, you literally just spoke what was in my head, bro. Literally, what you just said there. Literally, I had this conversation today, like literally a few hours ago, and I was talking to this girl, and I was saying, "You just chose the two types that I was that exactly like myself." The independent one is the one that, fam, when I get involved, things are sweet, but there's an emotional unavailability there that tends to always happen. And then there's the other side, which is I end up becoming a protector, the savior, the Superman kind of feeling. But like you said, bro, you just start drowning. Yeah, I got the cape on, I'm ready to go. Listen, whatever you need from me, baby.
To the rescue.
I'm gonna save you. You know what I mean? And it's like, bro, and so the two types that you chose, bro, are exactly the two types. And I was asking myself this question while I was in the shop. I was like, as I was shopping, I was like, so then I need to find a medium, but how do I find a medium? And what is the information that I need to get me to the medium? Because I'm on two extreme polars. The one side is emotional deficient. The other side is I'm caping, and I've got to find a good, one needs to find a good balance. And I was asking myself, what key information do I need to make sure I make that correct type of decision so I don't fall on either side? Do you know what I'm saying? What you just said there, bro, was exactly what I was literally thinking, bro. Like, what I'm saying? It was,
and it's hard because you generally just meet one or the other. Like I've rarely just met one that's just like
in the middle,
in between. Like, and they come. Don't get me wrong, they come, but it's a rarity. It's either they got their stuff together, but they got so much emotional issues and baggage from past situations, so they're just not ready for anything, or they come to some conclusion that there will never be a man for them because they're stuck in their ways. I got to this point where now I'm stuck in my ways. Either the guy's going to accept me or they're not going to accept me. And the fact that the biggest lie a man could tell you is it was like, oh yeah, I'm just going to deal with it. Yeah, they'll deal with it for a while, but it's going to get old after a while too. And personally, I'm very upfront. Yeah, I could deal with it for a minute, but if it's not going to change, then it's going to get old. Just like a woman that doesn't, because I've heard women like to show women ask me very intriguing questions, like intellectual questions about traditional relationships, or a man doing this, a woman doing this, or that and that. And some women are like, well, I don't want to do this and I do. And I'm like, yeah, you'll meet that guy that will tell you don't have to pay for anything, you just live in the house. But I bet you about 9 times out of 10, he's probably going to cheat on you. He's going to feel like you don't have a leg up to say anything, or you're not going to be as happy as you thought you were because you're not investing. People want, but they don't want to invest. You have to invest. You got to let people know you have value outside of physical sex and stuff like that. There has to be more than content, because I've met women where they have conversations and they think sex is a factor in a relationship. That is a compliment. Sex is a compliment to your relationship, ladies. It is not the end-all be-all. What else can you contribute, like, to your relationship? What long-term goals and longevity Do you team build? You know, I've dated a lot of people that don't understand. You know, it's funny. The people that need saving rarely team build. The women that actually don't, you know, have the independence, they do a lot more team building, but they're a little bit mostly scarred. Like team building. Can we work out together? Can we pray together? You know, can we do activities together? Will you plan the activity this time and I plan the activity? Can we go hiking together? Will you mind doing a picnic? Can we go to the beach in long-term trips? Can we plan? Can we understand that, you know, maybe we'll put us together a savings. People don't want to tie themselves. You know what I mean? These are shoelaces. This is my personal perspective on a successful relationship. These are shoelaces. You're tying to make it not so easy to just say, you know what, I go my way, go your. When you just it's just you and it's just her, it's easy to walk away. People don't tie themselves together no more. Those ties are for a reason. Those ties are necessary for success. Those ties mean commitment. Those ties are emotional and mental and spiritual, metaphysical connections that allow you to be a little bit more stable in your commitment. People are afraid to commit. And because they don't want to do team building activities, they don't want to do team building things. It's either mine or yours. There's no mine and yours in relationship as far as us and we.
And you know what's interesting on the back of that, what you're saying as well in terms of, you know, the team working aspects as well. You're actually right. I'm a person that likes the team working aspect as well. And you know, I like to choose somebody, you know, who also understands that we're becoming one. That so if my fate is your fate's my fate. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, we got our fate is tied in this. We can't. It can't be that one person is failing and then it's only one. No, the whole team fails if one person's failing, or if one person is not getting it, we're all failing. We're all not getting it. So, you know, that's my thoughts. And on the back of what you just said, it's made me think as well, because I think from just kind of as we're talking about and being personal about our own experiences, I'm definitely thinking about how I know that for me personally, I know that the reason why I keep attracting a certain type of women that I'm attracting is also because within myself, there was, and I'm working on this right now, this is why I'm consciously single, there were aspects of me that the boundaries are not great. So in terms of what I consider to be a standard, that's why, you know what I mean? Like, because like what you're saying, for instance, if someone's got loads of problems, why is it that I want to jump in and save that person? Surely my standard should be, like you said, because that's why we're attracted to independent women, right? Because they handle their thing. They're able to stand on their own 2 feet. They don't need me to keep on propping them every single time. So I understand there's a standard, but maybe I'm not all the time within myself. I'm not implementing that standard. And I realize that, okay, there's aspects of me that I'm not being true and not being faithful to myself. I'm betraying myself in those aspects, because if I get with someone who's super uber dependent but emotionally unavailable, it's because part of me is emotionally unavailable, right? And that's why I'm resonating with that person, because part of me is unavailable and I'm struggling to understand that. And then when you sit down with yourself, you start to realize, oh, there are parts of me that are responding to what you're giving, because it's a mirror. That's what relationships are, in a sense. You mirror one another. You are that person shows you a mirror when they act with the way you act, right? Or if they are in a relationship with you, you both hold up a mirror to one another. So it's like, as you were talking, I was just thinking to myself, okay, there are parts of me that we still need some work. We still need to fix up on, in order to make sure that we're not making the same choice. Because I will say, if you're healed, you see things healed. If you're broken, you see things broken, because that's the way you see things, you know?
That's facts. And a lot of us, we unpack. You know, like even with me, I had to unpack a lot of things within myself before and after the show. You know what I'm saying? Like those are. But I think even as you go through life, you still, you know, you go through life unpacking your stuff. You know, some people they, you know, have to talk to some people. Some people take a moment to process, and it's just unpacking. But within myself, why I chose the people, because I always wanted to, and this is why I already know specifically why. After doing a lot of unpacking, it's because I want the A person that's independent and can do what they want to do, but it's hard for me to meet somebody that generally doesn't have those scars. or reservations. And I think it's one because, you know, to me, I feel like those are not necessarily things you can always see until you're like in a moment. And when I'm in that moment with that individual, then I'm like, okay, well, by that time I already caught up. I like them, and I'm trying to figure out how to navigate through that situation. So my picks are my picks because that's what I want. But it's trying to find one that doesn't have those emotional scars or baggage or playing. I think I have the issue with, because a lot of people come off like they want something, or they want to be fruitful, or they might want to see the potential of something they don't. But take in mind now, even with myself, I was with my daughter mom for like 7 years. So like recently, at the last couple of years, I haven't done that much dating. So I've only dated 2 people since in the last 2.5 years. Yeah, I dated one for 6 months, which kind of remind me of the situation on the show. And then I dated one that was wonderful and treated me well. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, as a man, I was still healing from the past situation. You know, so
Yeah, bro. I definitely hear you on that. I definitely hear you on that. Do you know what it's interesting? I also too, like, when I look at some of the past things as well, I look at the fact that, you know, I ignored certain red flags. Because like, fam, when I start talking to you, and you know what, I realize I go into therapy mode. So like, if I'm talking to a girl, like, if there's problems, my natural instinct is to, okay, so what do you think about this? So what do you think about that? And what happens is that relationship that develops with that person, they might see me as somebody who's problem solving. And I'm then looking at the situation like, oh, okay, like, we're connecting. But it's because I've gone into therapy, I've gone into like therapist mode, or gone into like problem solver mode. And it starts off well, but then because I'm solving certain issues, or at least it looks like I'm helping them overcome certain issues, I'm ignoring the red flags that are right in front of my ass. Like, there's red flags just going boom, 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 boom.
But you like to problem solve. This is your mind's focused on the problem and not, and yeah. So,
and that's the issue. And then I start ignoring some of these red flags that I be seeing. And then I find myself deep. And I'm like, what the heck am I in, bro? What's this, bro? This is too much. This is what you're talking about, the drowning situation. And you realize, nah, I gotta get out because I'm choking here. Like, the walls are caving in, I'm drowning. Like, I feel like the whole world is about to collapse on top of me. Do you know what I mean? You know, so it's like, you know, so, you know, just hearing you speak, I get what you're saying, you know, in terms of even relationships and just some of the things that you kind of go through. And yeah, man, yeah, I've been missing some red flags I had. That's why I took myself off the dating scene, you know, for last year and a bit. I purposely did it because I like to, like you said, bro, you say you're a man of your word. I'm a person, if I preach something, I have to live it.
yeah.
Like, I have to live it and I have to do it. I can't preach something and not live it. So I took myself off because I always say to people, you know, if you're not healed, sit on the bench, heal, then get back on the field. If you're not, stay on the bench. You know what I'm saying? Like, you cause too much trouble if you're not healed, you know?
Yeah, I think you're right. Let me ask you this. So in your dating experience, let me ask you your longest dating experience. How many years was it?
It was 3 years. Yeah.
3 years.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, why do you feel like it ended? Do you feel like you couldn't transition? Were y'all changing in different ways? Do you feel like that's one of the situations where you were trying to solve everything and you were drowning? Like, what about you felt like that 3 years couldn't work? Because that's quite a bit of time.
Yeah. Do you know what? I think at the time when I always say this as well, because I actually told a story before on YouTube. The very beginning, okay, if I look from looking from the end to the beginning, I remember at the very beginning, I remember there was a red flag for me. And I said, oh, let me leave it alone. Like, let me just kind of like, let me ignore. I don't want to say ignore it. I said, let me work with it and see what happens. You know what I'm saying? But I think overall, just looking at the, like, if I was to answer it as if I was in the middle of the relationship coming to the end, I think looking at that relationship, I was like, you know what? We just don't have this. We don't operate on the same wavelength. There's a certain depth I like when I'm talking to people that I like in the relationship that I wasn't really getting. And then what it did is subdued me and I couldn't express myself anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So the begin, and I'll be telling you this, that I was highly sexual. I'm just gonna keep it a buck. No one needs to lie to me. I'm gonna tell you the truth.
Yeah.
Okay. I was highly sexual. The sex was really drawing me in, bro.
Oh
It
yeah,
drew me in.
I've been there before. Where I was like, uh, not to be blunt, but like a girl's pretty good. And I'm like, damn, I think I like you. You were like, hold up, remember you could do that with just okay. Good. Yeah, so I've been there before. I definitely been there before, and I think you know, I think like you said, we hold on to things too long though,
Yeah,
and
that's
I think just moving on and understanding, and I think that's where I come into the development of who I am now. Because I think I've come to where I understood that I've had those issues before. So if I withdraw from somebody or a situation, it's because I went with my gut. Tory didn't go with his gut before. Tory, up until recently, would have just ignored things. Not ignored it. You know what I'm saying? I think that learning lesson with that person I dated for 6 months during COVID time was my learning point.
bro. Yeah.
She taught me more in 6 months than all the women combined in the rest of my life. And because I was falling for her, but you know, I ain't gonna lie, that person probably cheated me the worst of anybody I ever dated.
Bro.
And yes, and no, and I would never forget. She's somebody in DMV, and I would never forget that. And I'm like, you know, at the end of the day, what I could at least got is closure. Could at least respect me enough to have a conversation with me and to address the improvements. And which better validated that it was a waste. I was wasting my time anyway. So going forth since then, I withdraw with communication. It's okay to withdraw, but I give people the reasons why. You know, some people don't; they just withdraw. You know, it's you communicate. This is not working for me because A, B, C, and D. And I think people are afraid to talk and communicate. People are afraid. The reason 99% of most relationships fail is because people don't set the standards of what they want from the beginning. They're afraid to have that conversation. Upfront these days, I'm more upfront than I've ever been in my life. I have that conversation, but yes, I'm in a relationship, but I want to date you first for 6 months. If I date you for 6 months, then we're gonna need to be in a relationship. I want to date for probably another 6 months, or maybe like 9 months, 10 months from here. You know, and then I want to see if we have the potential to be married. And I want to do marriage counseling first. You know, I want us to do that therapy. You know what I'm saying? I want maybe 2 or 3 months of seeing if we can live in one space together to make sure that we're compatible. Because when people live together, there a lot of things change. I need my toilet paper over. I need my toilet paper toothpaste squeeze from the bottom. Sorry. I need my toothpaste squeeze from the bottom. I need I'm just saying, not you know, some people are best like that. Like I can't come there. Toothpaste all over, like everywhere. I'm dating people with toothpaste like everywhere. I need, you know, like I didn't know that it's gonna be clean. There's not gonna be dishes sitting in the sink for months or weeks. So people, you communicate. You see if you can be compatible, and then like, hey, we're gonna get married. We're going to stay like set times and dates. That's how you know somebody's serious too. If somebody is serious, they're going to set times and dates and give you their goals up front. They're going to give you their aspirations. They're going to tell you what they need. They're going to ask you, are you able to be receptacle of those things? Now I tell people like this: you're not coming into with a perfect person. You got to be waiting with the car. Like people who like relationships and myself. We got to go through those problems. You're carving your perfect person, like carving your husband. You know what I'm saying? You're fine tuning, knocking those little pieces of rough edges and pull it out. Some people, like I said, I told somebody that interviewed me, people want the cookie cutter, perfect gingerbread man, and that's why they have this because you're not willing to work for it. You want that when you meet them, and then you got that when you first meet them, and then 2 years down the road, you're divorced. Because you thought you didn't take time to work on anything. You just thought you had the perfect person, but you didn't break it open to see what's inside.
Okay, I'm hearing you, bro. I'm hearing you, bro. I'm hearing you, and I can see the audience saying we've got a bromance going on. Yeah, I'm definitely hearing you, bro. Because you're making sense, bro. And I love the way you answer the questions, because, bro, you're straight to it. I'll be honest with you, you're one of the few people that come in here when you ask a question, you're quite on point with the question. like, no cap. Like, seriously, you've been answering it straight to the question. So I honestly, I appreciate that. And I'm definitely jumping on the same frequency as you then. So okay, so like, bro, as we've chopped up a lot and stuff, you are a handsome young man, you know what I'm saying? You've got your business running for you know what I'm saying? You well established, you got your sense, you're a smart individual as well. What takes you on to Ready to Love? What's taking you on to Ready to Love?
Somebody reached out to me via Instagram. I remember her name, Kat. So, she hit me in the DM, said, "Hey, you'd be interested in doing it." I thought she was trying to holler. You know what I'm saying? First. And I was like, okay, she attractive. So I think what they did is catfish me with somebody like that's very attractive. And then she hit me with the show. I was like, well, what about you though?
Can I get your number?
Yeah. So yeah. So I was reached out via Instagram.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, so to reach out to you by Instagram, what made you want to go on the show then? What made you want to agree then? You know what I mean? Did they sell you something?
That was, that was the best question somebody could have been asked that. But I don't know what was going through my head at the time. I never really seen Radio Love. I never watched there's only two reality shows I ever watched. It was Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, and I realized I watched maybe 3 or 4 episodes of the one we talked through the wall or something, and then you got to marry the person.
Oh, Love Is Blind.
Yeah, I think I've seen that one. So I never really watched reality shows. I never really watched that much TV. So what got me into that was like, okay, this is something I'm working on. I'm always an F it, why not person. Good opportunity to meet somebody. Maybe I'm not doing things right. Let somebody else have a hand in my picking and choosing. So that was my thoughts, and why not?
Okay, fair enough. I get it. I get it. So then, obviously, when you get onto the show, Ready to Love, you arrive at the mansion. I heard it was hot that day as well for you guys.
You start looking at an ant through a magnifying glass in the summer. That's how hot it was.
Was it that bad then?
People start looking like melted ice cream.
I mean, okay, what was your first impression then? So you get there, well, you weren't the first to get there, so I'm guessing you came a little bit way into it. Like, what was your first impression when you arrived?
First impression when I arrived, I was like, okay, beautiful mansion, everything looks nice, it's lit. Walk through, and I'm going to the back, and as I went to the back, this is where everybody's sitting on a patio, and I'm having a conversation where they having conversations, and I come in and I actually step in, and I'm having a conversation. The first 2 people I remember seeing was, I think it was Fernando and Cookie and Daki. They're already sitting down. Yeah. And Wiley might have been there already. And so I'm sitting down and I'm like, okay, I don't know the dynamics. Am I going to just sit here and talk to these people? It really was I'm going to tell you a secret. Nobody got numbers the first night because they didn't know, except for me. And I was like, fuck it, I'm going to get it. But everybody was like, at the end, they was like, did anybody get any numbers? And people didn't really know, you know what I'm saying? Like, what we supposed to be doing? We supposed to be doing it on camera like that or what? So it was just like, throwing fish into a pool and that they never been in before.
Okay, so when you obviously then started on your rounds of talking and that, who first caught your eye? So who's the first person that really caught your eye? And then who did you feel like you're the connection with on that first day? Who do you feel like you connected with, like, in terms of conversation? So who caught your eye first and foremost, and then who did you connect with on it in there?
So caught my eye, and caught my eye is two different things. Because one, I will say Precious, but it was in terms of the energy she was giving me at that moment. Like she was giving me definitely energy, interested vibes or whatever. So she caught my eye on that aspect. But who caught my eye when they first walked in, just like wow, you know what I'm saying? Like nice, she's nice, like was Joy. Yeah. But who, if I was to just keep going, it went from there. Like who caught my eye and I stopped? It would have been like Sabrina, you know what I'm saying? Because actually was the first one to see her when she came out. I'm like, okay, you know. And then as in terms of the mixer conversation wise, like me, it was who I had the best conversations with was Sabrina and Ace. You know, I felt like those conversations were a little bit more intricate. I had like 3 conversations with Sabrina. I had one good long conversation with Ace.
Okay.
But they didn't show none of those. So.
No, we didn't see any of that. I think we only saw your brief stint conversation with Precious, and we saw conversation. Do we see the Sabrina conversation? I don't know if we saw.
They cut out everything dealing with Sabrina from the beginning. Like me and Sabrina had maybe like 3 conversations at the mixer. And probably who I talked to maybe the longest, to be honest with you, outside of Precious. But you know, they didn't show none of that.
Okay, so Precious, Sabrina, Joy, they kind of caught your eye for it as well. Okay, so tell us a little bit about your connection with Precious, because like I said, you guys had a deep conversation. It seemed like on our screens and stuff. Was the connection there at the beginning, or did you feel like there was a connection at the beginning?
Honestly, outside of just us talking about our relation, like it was never like I never felt like it was romantic or like I just had an interest in her. But I felt like she was a cool person and a good vibe. You know what I'm saying? Like, but to me, as in like an emotional connection or somebody I wanted to see myself talking to or being with beyond even at the mixer, I didn't see that. You know what I'm saying? I felt like those certain people liked me and her together, so they steered that. So they would every time I would do my interviews, it's like it's about Precious. What about Precious? What about so that was kind of steering, but my interest was like initially I would say like attractive interest. Oh, these are the people I want to talk to. It was always Sabrina, Joy, and Ace from the beginning.
Sabrina, Joy, and Ace. Just the connection wasn't as strong with Precious then from the beginning, basically.
No, it wasn't. We had a great conversation, but it wasn't like it wasn't like that.
So then I got to ask the question: if it wasn't as strong, what happens that we get to a point where we're kissing? Because if it's not as strong, what happens there?
So Precious would let me know, or at least indicate that she was interested. But to me, it was like, there'll be hollow text messages like, "Hey, I want to let you know, I'm interested in you. You're a real nice guy, vibe on the block." And for a while, I was getting them like every other day or every day and whatever. And a lot of times with no action, she'll call me and say, "Hey, I know I've been missing it out of action, blah blah blah. But I really like you. This is what it is. Just let you know I'm really interested." You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to say the second where we say, well, we're going to send you out on a second date with your second person. That never happened at the moment we was at the table. My second person would have been Ace. Me and Ace went on a date. So that's not valid. You know what I'm saying? Like my second person was Ace. You know what I'm saying? At that moment. So me and Ace went out on a date, but they never showed. I think what you see, and I'm about to answer your question about the kissing. But what you see is more like what they wanted for me and not what I wanted for myself. But Precious always let me know that she was interested. That night, I hate the way they did things because we had an intellectual conversation, a very deep conversation, and Precious is a very type of person that as you now realize, is very sexual. She doesn't care. You know, she's very blunt. She's very comfortable with who she is. Now, going on that date, she asked me a series of questions, like when she said sex friends and stuff like that. She was asking me a series of questions. Unfortunately, her questions and our jokes were edited out where it's just me talking, which I felt like to me at that time was very malicious, because our conversation was it was a good conversation. It was very good. And that shot, when you say shot, I learned that when Precious sat down, not at that moment, because I'm never going to be talking to somebody and be like, cut them off for a damn shot. I thought it was ridiculous. You know, I'm looking at it like, that's ridiculous. Really? But anyway, so, you know, we had conversations. I actually did poetry that night. She actually, told me about her nephew, her transgender nephew. How would I be accepting of somebody dating like that? She's been telling me she didn't need to catch up with me for the longest. So we're vibing. We're both, we've been drinking, we've been vibing. Now, I think you noticed that there was 2 kisses, right?
I didn't know, but I think I've heard it on an interview that you recently did. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's 2 kisses. You see the intro, and you see the one we actually did.
Okay.
It's 2 of them. So by the gods that be, we're type of people, like we're like, okay, you know what I'm saying? Like, but we were asked to have a kiss. That's why you see 2 of them. But granted, the initial one we had was more mutual. And I asked them till they take it out. But what they did is change the angle of it, and they didn't take it out. So you couldn't see that we both came across the table. And that's the one thing I didn't like, because I wanted them to take that whole thing out, period. Because I felt like that was your narrative. If it was about going out with my second person, then it would have been ace. But as for the kiss, we are the type of people who just like, we'll see if there's any chemistry there. And that's where our involvement was. Even after she called me, she said, how did you feel about it? And, she had a connection with Paul. My connection was with Sabrina, but I felt like it dwindled. I started backing off. She was like, well, and only Paul can attest to whatever they had talked about or whatever. And I was like, well, if you don't mind, we can keep this between us for the moment, because I feel like, you have some issues with resolving with Paul. And she was like, well, do you feel like this is with trying to pay back expenses? I said, like, look, I'm not thinking about no Sabrina. You know what I'm saying? I do things because I want to, but make a long story short, it was for the guys that asked us to do it. And we like, and who we are, we like, why not? And we was trying to, at that night, we had a good date. We had explored chemistry. The date that you saw was not the date that happened.
All right. So was both kisses pushed by production? So the very first kiss you guys had, is that production saying you should kiss? Or was that just natural, that first one?
There's a little bit of both, because it was one of the production's birthday. So he was like, which was no longer with the production. She was like, so we had a couple shots beforehand. He was like, hey, would you, be a little bit more free, Tori? You know what I'm saying? Like, he had that British accent. Would you be a little more free, Tori? We need you to loosen up. You're not loose. We need to come here, have a birthday shot with me. I really like you and Precious too. I like your vibe with Precious. Y'all seem like y'all have so much chemistry. And I'm like, okay. So, it was asked, but it was more natural in the moment. You know what I'm saying? The second one was definitely paid, which I'll do it. You know what I'm saying? And my thing is, the narrative that I've heard that she's spinning, I don't appreciate it. One, the Sabrina thing, because I told you several things, stop spinning that narrative. And 2, oh, well, you didn't want to do it because you reached over that table. You could have just, I would have did the Heisman. That's what I do. You know what I'm saying? But you leaned over the table and it was mutual. I just unfortunately asked production, would they take it out? And they wouldn't take it out. They changed the angle of it. Because I felt like it was that's not my story. My story, my second person would have been Ace.
Would have been Ace. Okay, so I just want to just definitely confirm. So the first kiss, was Precious aware that you got pulled aside to do the kiss?
Yes. She was Yeah.
So she knew.
I told her production had a hand in it.
Wait.
No, production. No, I'm sorry. Production came out and said something to us. So they said something to us. Yeah.
So she knew about it. I want to make it very clear, because obviously before I ask my next question, so she knew the first kiss that you guys had. It wasn't that you just came out and she didn't know and you kissed her and she kissed you back, whatever. You're saying that she was aware that production produced this moment for
Not
the very
initially.
first kiss.
No, you're right. Not initially on the first kiss. She wasn't aware. The second kiss, they asked us both to stand up and could we do it again? You know what I'm saying? So you're right. I got what you're clarifying.
Okay.
First kiss, she was aware of it after the fact. But second kiss, she was aware at the same time. It's like, hey guys, we need to get that a little bit cleaner. Can we do that again? Blah blah blah. And we like, okay, why not? You know what I'm saying? Cool. Like this type of people we are. Well, I mean, I don't know if it was a good or bad thing. We probably both should have just said, no, we don't feel comfortable with doing that.
What would you say then to the fact that, because our Precious obviously interviewed myself and she said that, you know what, you guys were having a bit of a like good conversation, I guess, but then it looked like it felt like for her, like it was out of the blue, the kiss. Not to say that, she wasn't consenting or anything, not like that, but more of a case of the fact that she felt like the conversation then was just about fun, but she was trying to share more deeper conversation with you. What would you say to that?
I say that's a lie, straight out lie. And I'm gonna tell you that was straight out lie, because the conversation we had, like, she wasn't trying to have a deeper conversation. This is a fact check, because I know you Black Book, right? Go back and you see a clip that says, "Can we have a real conversation?" Right? Tori says that for his mouth. And then it goes back into the goofiness, right? Who does that? Nobody does that. It was a lot of stuff was edited out and changed. Because I said right there, you look at my face, I said, "Can we have a real conversation?" Right? Am I wrong? I'm sure you watched it. I remember that part. Yeah, you're a very analytical individual that doesn't let anything slip. I know this because I peeped you out. Who says have a real conversation and then just change the dynamics? Did you hear her say, let's have a real conversation? We were joking. The part that you saw, we was joking. She was asking a bunch of questions after the sex friends thing. They cut out her questions and they cut out, the fact that we were joking. But a lot of that stuff, like even me ordering a shot, I didn't order a shot at that moment. I ordered a shot when she sat down and said, "Hey, let's take a shot." When she first sat down, so that was not even in a moment. Thirdly, we had an intellectual conversation. I did poetry that night. She asked me, could I do poetry? She said, she heard I've been doing poetry. We talked a little bit more about our backgrounds growing up. We talked about her transgender nephew that night and how the dynamics of him growing up and the things he had to go through. So I think what Precious is doing is selling a false narrative. Like she wanted to, he did it to something about Sabrina. Look, Sabrina, I was just having a good time that night. Sabrina was the last thing on my mind. Don't get it wrong. I like Sabrina. But I don't do one thing for a reaction. I was enjoying myself. Precious want to sell a narrative that is not correct. It's not right. It's not factual. It's something that she wants to do because she wants to look at it in a better light, which is fine. But my thing is, don't throw me under the bus, roll over, roll backwards, roll over again. It's not appropriate, because at the end of the day, we did have an intellectual conversation that we articulated how we grew up. You told me about your family, your nephew. I did poetry. Why didn't you take time to tell Little Black Book all that? I mean, I'm so adamant about it. If you can get the tape for that night, Mr. Black Book, I would love for you to play.
Oh no, I remember. I'm just, and the reason why I asked is because she had an aspect of the narrative what she felt like was that night. You also had a different aspect in terms of that night as well. So I'm trying to just trying to get the two perspectives so that if we get you back on again, both of y'all, we can ask direct questions.
I think if you can get the tape, I would love it. That day. You know what I'm saying? But her narrative, and I said it's always two sides and the truth. Right now, I just wish you can just get the tape, and I feel like that'll speak for itself. I feel like when she said that, she was trying to cherish her narrative of being the fun party girl that she has either presented herself to be or has been placed upon her. So to say, well, I want to have a serious conversation with Tori. Okay, if you want to have a serious conversation with Tori, but the first thing you say is, should we be blank friends, lovers, sex friends? And then if you notice, like I said in our conversation, I said, can we have a real serious conversation? Come on. If you look at it, it's chopped up. Who says that and then goes back into some joking mode? It doesn't even make sense logically. Even from the first 5 minutes of you having conversations with me, I mean, you seem like a very intelligent individual. That's not how I roll. Things have been said, but were they in that context? What was said to me to have me respond that way? Do they seem like more of answers and responses, or they seem more of just words on the tangent? How does my face look when I'm saying things in that moment? Do you see a little breakaway for a second? Why do I say let's have a serious conversation, and I'm more focused on the shot than the serious conversation that I just said I wanted to have?
I guess that's why I'm asking, because the reason why I'm asking is so that we can, when words are said, when words are said, that's where, we can actually then line it up. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying in terms of, obviously, can we have a serious conversation comment that comes up? I'm more focused on the fact that both of you have different aspects in terms of how you saw the conversation. Because she's saying she felt like it was going to the fun, but she wanted to have a serious conversation. You're saying that's not lining up with what you felt the conversation was going on to, which is important, because then we've got two different aspects to this conversation that was happening at a particular time. You know what I'm saying? Again, that's why I didn't focus on the kiss. The kiss wasn't important. It was more the case of the energy of the conversation, right? Because I know that she made some comments about the sex situation. I know you made some comments about the sex, conversation as well. So I'm trying to get that. I'm trying to understand, the energy of that conversation at the time. So I'm hearing what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the conversation that we had, even regards to her statement, we had, a deep conversation. So for her to even say that it didn't happen is, to me, completely false, because it's not. I don't feel like that was the narrative she was trying to have, but I felt like we did have it anyway, and it was a good conversation. Don't get me wrong, the date was good, the conversation was good, but I think that a narrative she's spinning is totally false, because why don't you address that? Hey, this man did poetry that night. I asked him to do poetry. He did it. Why don't you address that? I gave him the outlay of my family and my family structure and how I moved here, about my swim line, everything that was intellectually stimulating and deep, that and that's what you saw was not even fact, or either it may just been a little bit edited, or that even if you didn't want to leave that alone, just say, hey, what you saw was only a very minute part of our day. There's so many ways to address it, even if you don't want to clean it up. So, no, that's false.
And you're saying definitely the kiss had nothing to do with Sabrina at all?
Zero. May God hit me, throw me off the roof on my beautiful, and zero. I don't bring one situation to another. Like this. I'll tell you like this. I like Sabrina. I really liked her, but I started peeping out a lot of stuff for her. You know
Fair
what I'm
enough.
saying? So at the end of the day, I realized I'm gonna have my fun. Or I'm gonna keep it moving. If me and her can work out some things, cool. But my thing is, I can't sit there and expect somebody that blatantly told me they wanted to date around, or they're trying to follow a process. And to me, the process is a trick. So to me, it's for those who really want to play. Because what you don't understand, one of the production members told me best, and I never forget he said this. He said, Tori. No, he didn't say Tori. He told this to everybody. He was like, everybody that finds love is not meant here to be to the end. If you get it, if you find love, you don't necessarily got to make it to the end. If you find that one, this is why I respect Clifton and Joy so much. They found, you know what I'm saying? Like, I respect them. You know what I'm saying? Because if you find something, yeah, you can follow the process, give everybody a good opportunity, but you be grounded into what you want because you know what you want. Yeah, follow the process. Talk to these people, introduce, see if something's stepping outside your box, but come in with a clear vision that you want something. And all you're doing is picking that piece of paper up. This is Clifton. This is Tori. This is Donovan. Let me check these boxes off. Do they have this? Are they stable jobs? Have stable careers? Are they stable mentally? Are they willing to work and self-improve? Are they, do they have the core values of what I want in a man or a woman? You know what I'm saying? Like, you're checking those boxes off. Now, if you're sitting here trying to grab every piece of paper out there because it's here, you're going to be overwhelmed. You're never going to find that one because you're too busy feeling like you got to look at everything. And this is where I felt like that production member told me best. If you find love, you ain't got to be here to the end. Ain't no prize. Ain't no money. I spend more money being on the show than anything else.
All right, I get that. That's fair play. So let me ask one question. Last question on the Precious situation. Then, if Precious is not second, but she was after second, I know you don't want to say it like that. I know it doesn't sound great, but that's just the way it is, right? How do we? Because again, production said yes, they want to see a bit more, but as you said yourself, production didn't force the first kiss. This was something that is a moment situation. So how do we get to a kiss point? Because then if she's not your first, she's not your second, but she's after the fact, why are we kissing after the fact? If that person isn't in our remit, if we don't have that great of a connection and we're not looking for that, that's why it looks like that's why it looks like it's a thing to get at Sabrina, because like you're explaining to us yourself, she's not on your radar really.
No, well, honestly, I thought we had a good date that night. You know what I'm saying? Like that night, I did change. Like I changed my opinion when you saw me in the lounge, right? You didn't see everything, but I said Precious really stepped it up. You know what I'm saying? Because that was my first time. Because Precious always said she was interested. She can let me know. I still got the messages in my phone, texting me every other day. If she ever says no, hey, I could be like, look, I really feeling you, Tori. You are great in the man, blah, blah, blah. I really like who you are and what you stand for as a character, blah, blah, blah. And capitalize with, I didn't think I was going to have a good date with her, to be honest. I did to have a wonderful date with Precious. You know what I'm saying? So this is why I'm very disappointed in how she is portrayed, even to the Sabrina thing, because I actually had a great date with you. I actually enjoyed myself. I actually felt comfortable. I felt safe. You know what I'm saying? I felt like you were being sincere for the first. Like I didn't always take Precious to be sincere. You know what I'm saying? I felt like it was some other things that was going on underlying. You know what I mean? But that moment, I took her as sincere, and I wanted to see if there was any kind of spark or interest between us. You find out. Sometimes you find out. You need to find out because, I did focus on one for so long. You know what I'm saying? Why not find out if there's genuine chemistry? And I felt like that night, which is kind of sad that she has taken away from that night, that she really stepped it up. That night she was vulnerable. She told me about a lot when it came to herself and her family that I didn't even know. You know what I'm saying? We talk. This is one thing I hate too, because me and her, we're shit talkers. So we talk shit to each other the whole night on top of our in-depth conversation. You know, on top of the, the poetry, the words, the atmosphere of things we are into. You know, how she's into designing and her swimwear to where she's came from, and she's in IT. I got all that night, all that. And my thing is to demean that date and say that we didn't have any meaningful conversations when 90% of the conversation was meaningful, 10% was shit talking. And unfortunately, they only took the shit talking. And we were shit talking to each other. So, yeah, I wanted to see if it was like I was feeling her in the moment, and I wanted to see if there was a spark, But I realized, it was nothing between us.
Fair play, fair play. Okay, so you also had a connection with Ace as well. We didn't get to see it as much though on the show. We didn't get to see it as much. They didn't show it as much in terms of your connection with Ace. It was more like Precious than Sabrina, like, you know what I mean? So tell us a little bit more about the connection with Ace then, and how that went.
Ace is a class act. Don't get anything they show you about Ace in a negative tone. That's been my A1 since day one. She's very loyal. She's very honest. She's words can't describe her, how she is as an individual. And I have a very highly opinion of her. Unfortunately, they didn't show our date. And even because I thought it was kind of weird. Like, I'm on her ex date, but you didn't even bother to show our date. You kind of pushed the Precious. You pushed the Precious narrative. But why you didn't show me an Ace date? Me and Ace had a wonderful date. But you got me on her friend date. It's like I think next season they just need some better writers. Because it would have been understanding. Then you have us then going when she's telling me to go, but you didn't see the climax. You didn't even see the 3 dates me and Sabrina went on before we got to the thing, like to the what's it called? You didn't see our dates and our interaction. We went to a batting cage. We had the bus date. We had another one at a Mexican restaurant or something like that. So, you didn't see all the climax, and you don't. So I think you as an audience didn't get an understanding of a lot. Y'all left with like crumbs of pieces, and yes, they can only fit so much into a little bit of time of 45 minutes. But I think they could have been this is me personally, I feel like a better job could have been kind of laying those breadcrumbs to give y'all understanding of the dynamics. But Ace, she's wonderful. That's your question.
So what do you think, or why do you think that the connection then didn't go further than it actually did? What was the reason? What would you say was your reasoning, or what you understood as to why the connection didn't go any further?
Well, she had a connection with Vern. Her like when I was trying to nurture me and the Sabrina connection, her and Vern were nurturing their connection. So, it kind of fell by the wayside. We talked almost every day or every other day, but it was like, okay, it was a point where, are we romantic or friends? I know you like Vern, but we do find each other attractive, and we talk our stuff to each other. But then I'm also having a connection with Sabrina, and she would always tell me all the time, she's like, Tori, what you and Sabrina have, blah blah blah, and I feel like that is genuine. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what also a lot of people don't see off camera. You didn't see how me and Sabrina dynamics was, so most people are like, they didn't realize that I was talking to the women on the phone, and they'll always bring up Sabrina. She really likes you, blah blah blah. At first, I thought, I didn't think so, and then everybody's like, yeah, she really likes you. This is this. We'll be the ladies' lounge, blah blah blah. Because what you didn't see too, at the mixer, right? When Tommy asked Sabrina who was her top, they cut my name out. If you listen carefully, go back and listen to episode 1, you'll hear and before Demetrius and also Clifton. But it was Tori, and she's told me this herself multiple times.
Sabrina told you that she had used number 1.
Yeah, well, she told me, production told me everything. Like, I've been knew I was the number 1. She told me herself, production told me. But for some reason, they chose to cut me out of her number 1s. I was her number 1 up until after the mixer, which was kind of not the mixer, but after the bonfire, which was weird to me. Then you put my name in as number one, but before that, I was your number one each time because she told me that herself, and additionally, production and other female castmates told me that.
Okay.
But then you change, then you after the nibble on the Demetrius ear, then I'm her number one. It didn't make no sense. Like I said, a lot of stuff just wasn't put together properly. But Ace, our connection just didn't work because she went with Vern. Her connection was stronger with Vern, and I respected it. We have love for each other, but it was about Vern.
Okay, yeah, I get it. I mean, yeah, we did see her connection with Laverne was quite strong. At least they showed that part at least as well. What happened with the? Oh, sorry, you want to say?
No, go ahead.
I was
I'm
gonna
say. Sorry.
My bad, bro.
No, I was gonna say I'm gonna ask you a question. So on that friend day, I'm gonna give you a spoiler. You know when she's like, "Oh my God," at the table or whatever, Vern dropped a diamond bracelet. Like, and got her a diamond bracelet. I don't know why they didn't show that.
He got her a diamond bracelet.
Yeah, he had got her some diamond bracelet, some nice. It was nice. Whatever he had got her. So her reaction was actually to what he had got her. So they had a strong connection too. They just didn't. I don't know why they wouldn't show it. Like I was like, why didn't you show it? She always said, Tori, I don't know why they didn't show. This man just bought me a whole bracelet. You know. So just spoiler. You're gonna. Why don't you? Have you interviewed her yet?
No, Ace. I haven't interviewed Ace yet.
Well, why don't you ask me yourself?
Oh damn! I thought it was just a lotion. Okay, all right.
Oh no! I'm talking about the friend day, like her ex-boyfriend day.
Oh, on the ex-boyfriend day, he got a diamond bracelet.
Yeah, I think she said it was a diamond bracelet. I didn't get to see. I just saw the box, and she was like, "Oh my God, Tori, he got me a bracelet." I'm like, "Okay, cool." Hey. Yeah.
Well, I'm interviewing Laverne on Thursday. He gonna have to answer to that.
Oh no, Vern gonna be like, Tori, shut up, man. You want to tell
diamond bracelet, yeah. Okay. Okay, cool. And so I say, so what happened with the Ace situation in terms of the turning up to the date situation? Was that production? Was that actually how it turned out? Like, what was it for you? How did you perceive the situation?
Well, I already had talked. Well, I already knew Ace wasn't coming. So, but I actually called her before she didn't answer. Because she always answered my questions. But I think after dealing with production and the show, she shut down because that was the first time like Ace had never called me. So I called her before the show. During the show, they made me call her, but I only called her once, like while Sabrina was there, and then they made me call her twice when Sabrina left. And for some reason, they decided to add it and make it seem like I called her three, which I thought was crazy. Like, why would you? Some of the stuff I just felt like it was kind of malicious. Like, why would you even make it seem like I'm calling the girl 3 times? Like, why? Why? It don't make no sense. It doesn't even matter. She's not coming. But they made me call her, and I just it didn't make no sense to me. But
so
I already knew she wasn't coming.
Oh, okay, so you already knew that she wasn't coming.
Yeah, I knew she wasn't coming.
Is that because she told you?
Vern went. I think Vern went sent home, and her connection was with Vern. So they didn't want it to be like, well, she went home because of Vern. They wanted to stop that narrative. Yeah.
Okay, so then they made you do some acting then in that scene to like call her, even though you kind of already knew.
I didn't want to do it. Like, they kind of pushed me to do it. And I kept saying I don't want to do it because, like, you know, their biggest thing with everything is we got to connect the dots.
Yeah,
we got to connect the dots. You know what I'm saying? So you're like, okay, should I do it even though I don't want to do it? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. If knew they're gonna have me calling her 3 times, even though I didn't call her 3 times, I wouldn't have definitely did it.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, cool. So you already knew she wasn't really on it. She was going with Laverne, and that kind of scene was just for the TV aspect. Then, okay, damn. But then that makes it like, why did Tommy address it? Tommy address it as if like Ace didn't turn up. That's just making her look bad. Like, that don't make no sense if they knew she was going to self-eliminate.
These are questions I can't even ask.
Yeah. Okay. Way, it's a madness out there. All right, cool. So and in that scene as well, did Sabrina feel some type of way about the call, or was that also part of the acting as well?
I'm not 100% sure. I don't remember her like taking mine. Oh, FYI, just so you know, I'm deaf on my left side. So Sabrina was sitting on my left side, so I can only partially hear what anything she was saying,
Oh,
especially
okay.
if I have a phone in my ear. I have no hearing on this side.
Okay.
So if you notice, outside of that date, only because she came in last, mostly everybody's always sitting on my right side. I have
Mhm.
zero here. But
Okay.
she knows they made me call her because they stopped and made me call her. So I don't know. It had to be acting because they said, "Hey, we need you to call Ace." Like they stopped the scene and like, "Hey, we need you to call Ace." And then after she left, they made me call Ace because they said I had to zoom in on my phone or something like that. And I actually called. I didn't call Ace number. I called production number. So they made me call a production member's number to make it seem like I was calling Ace. They just said we gotta give them the context, which I understood that part. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? I just think that some of the stuff was just unnecessary.
So did Sabrina know that you were doing that for the production though?
Yeah, she knew. There ain't no
Okay,
way she could know. I mean, they're standing right there in our face.
so that means her reaction in that moment then wasn't really about the ace calling ace then. That was more of an acting aspect then.
Yeah, it was acting because she knew they sat there and told me to call Ace while she
Ooh,
was there.
okay.
And I only called
Mm,
Ace one time
it's a bit mad
while she was there.
still.
I called her again after they left, but they act like they were going to zoom in on my phone and make it seem like, you know, the phone is just ringing
Mm,
because they told me to save one of the production member numbers in my phone as Ace, so it can kind of just
zoom
kind of
in.
tell that story. Yeah,
Okay.
I didn't know they were going
Okay.
to play me. I didn't know they were going to play me like that. I was like, dang, y'all ain't had to do me like that. Y'all ain't
Mm.
had to get me like that.
I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. All right. So talk to me about this connection with Sabrina, man. First and foremost, what attracted you to Sabrina? Apart from the fact she was really good looking.
Um, Sabrina, I don't know. For the first moment I saw her at the mixer, it was like to me, I ain't see nothing else. You know what I'm saying? So honestly, when I saw Sabrina, that was it. Like it was just like I saw what I wanted. You know, it was no question after having conversation with her. The conversations that we had were to me very articulate, to the point, and also very vulnerable, about her family, who she's not close with being from Cali, you know, um, hell, even I even got to the not this just with Sabrina at the mixer and overall, I think we had conversations that could have been deeper, but we also had conversations deep, like down to her favorite color being sage green, or she liking ponies and lilies for flowers, stuff like that. I took time to ask those questions, and everything that our dynamics were just you know, seemed to co-align at the time when we first met. Like, oh no, I wasn't a James Bond fan, but she was very how she talked about certain things kind of lit up. Like, Tori, I love James Bond. I'm a James Bond girl. I always wanted to be one of those girls in James Bond. She talks like when she's excited, she talks like a kid. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
That a kid in a freaking candy store. And I liked it. You know what I'm saying? It was kind of cool. It was kind of cute. You know what I'm saying? It's cute and quirky. Um, but yeah, I just think it was just like a vibe like that at that moment. Because we also used to say when we first started talking that we felt like it was almost like a fairy tale. You know what I'm saying? That at least I felt genuine about it. Now later on, I don't know if it was genuine on her part. I'm not sure. I can't speak
Mm.
for her, but I don't think it was.
Why don't you think it was potentially not? Why do you think potentially it might not have been genuine on her part? What makes you say that?
Um, it's it's see, it's less about the Demetrius and more about that gut we was talking about. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? Like I ask when I'm talking to people, I ask test questions.
Yeah.
These are questions I just ask to see your reaction. Like how you was talking about how earlier where you can see how somebody react, like your dad walks in
Mm.
and now you know how to navigate. I ask questions so I know how to navigate, when I'm dealing with people now, because these are the questions I didn't do. Like I might just say a question like, hey, this is the question I did say to her. Like I can't wait to this show over with. So, I said, I can't wait to the moment I'm able to, not meaning from the show, that I'm able to be able to sit down, relax, have a good movie, watch a good movie, have dinner and drinks with you. You know what I'm saying? That's my idea of a good night. We're having this conversation about things we like. Guess what her response was? Okay, I know you're not gonna guess. So her response to me was like, no, not until after the show. I didn't say now. So it gave me a flag like, okay, after the show. Now take in mind, yes, we have a process to follow.
What was the question?
It wasn't even a question, it was more of a statement I said. You know what I'm saying? It was a statement. But your first thing is thinking about after the show, which is cool. But I didn't say now. And to me, it kind of was like I didn't say anything, but it was like to me it was just one flag, because you're talking about the show. And then it was a series of other things I would say, like it was always about the show. You know what I'm saying? The show. Or the processes. It's like, have you ever seen somebody so dedicated to ducking and dodging a response and answer that you felt that you come to the point where you realize that you're never going to get the right answer, or the answer that is going to align with what you need to get to move forward. It ain't even about the seriousness of the question. It's about, hey, I need to know if you're interested, because women move a certain way when they're interested. Ain't nothing stopping a woman that's interested.
Yeah.
A woman that's interested is going to say, F all this. I found me. You know what I'm saying? I found me. Like, this is where I go back into where I say I respect how Clifton and Joy's dynamics is. You heard what they said up front.
Yeah.
I found me. You know what I'm saying? This is my connection. It's okay to nurture other than just to see what around, but you need to know somebody's got an anchor right there and saying, hey, while I'm floating on the ocean, I'm gonna set grounds right here. And I felt like she was always ducking and dodging those grounds. You know what I'm saying? So that was my thing. That was my flags, and there was a few other things too.
Do you feel like you got much, now looking back, do you feel there was much of an emotional connection between yourself and Sabrina?
Was it much of them? A lot? A big
yeah. How much of your relationship was actually an emotional connection with Sabrina? How much, looking back at it now, how much of your connection with her was an emotional connection?
I think, honestly, up until the bonfire, it was a lot of emotional connection. The reason I say that, because when we first started talking, it was like we got each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, you saw what they claimed with me and Precious Trauma Bomb, but she has her own family thing dynamics too. You know what I'm saying? Where we discussed, and it was like we were relating to each other. You know what I'm saying? And I felt like, to me, talking to her was like talking to myself in certain aspects when we would have those general conversations. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like I could have dug a little bit deeper, but when you're so excited and you actually have those butterflies, I think that, what I'm saying, you can get a little bit transposed in the moment. But I do believe at some point that I felt like we had an emotional connection. Now, I felt later, well, let me see it like this. I felt I had a few flags prior, but I kind of molded over, and this is where we go where Tori ignores a little stuff. I noticed it because I even mentioned the depressions, and it came back to me later. So that's how I knew they had this kind of
relationship.
Yeah. So going on later, I just felt like I don't think the emotional connection was sincere. at least not on her part. I feel like, to me, and I told her this, and this is nothing I haven't said to her face, because we had a conversation to sit down since.
Okay.
I said, I feel like when it comes to guys, you're like a kid in a candy store. It's like, you see this one, you're like, oh, I like this one. Then you see this candy, you're like, oh, I like that one. Then she looks at that one, she's like, oh my God, that one's got chocolate on it. It's like she gets
excited. She gets excited by the prospects.
Yeah, because I would sit down at the table and I would she'd look at me with the googly eyes. Then she'd look at Donovan with the googly eyes. Then she'd look at Demetrius with the googly eyes. And I can look at her and tell these eyes are genuine, but they're not grounded to one person. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just think she wasn't ready for nothing, ready for a situation. And I don't know, was it because her person wasn't on the show, or it's just she wasn't ready? I don't think she was ready. Part of me feel like maybe it was games. And I feel like, after talking to her since, I got my answer, and I appreciate the answer, because the answer is pretty much what you think it is.
What do I think it is?
I said I wasn't going to say anything, but I just feel like she wasn't ready for nothing.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
At least nothing on the show, I feel like.
What were the flags that you noticed? Because you said in the scene where you did call Ace, there's a voiceover, I think, from yourself where you're saying you noticed some energy shift. Like, basically what she was doing was, when you were pulling away, she was trying to rope you back in. So I need you to break that down for us. What do you mean? What did you mean by that? I know what you meant, but I need you to break it down for us. What did you mean when you saw that?
I feel like, honestly, she just wanted to keep me around long enough to just stay around. Like people felt like people. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna keep it above, because I do keep things political, because I don't like bashing my castmates or stuff like that, because I feel like that's not
which is the truth. Yeah.
But I honestly felt she kept me around, keep on the show. A lot of people didn't like how she moved.
Of course.
Actually, 90% of the cast didn't like how she moved. They wanted her to go, because they just felt like she was playing games. I got pulled aside so many times. It was like, Tori, she's playing, right? She's playing. I'm like, yeah, but I'm gonna give her the benefit of the doubt, blah blah, because I can't tell nobody. I'm a grown man. I can't tell nobody what they're doing. Like, how we talked about perspectives.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. My gut's telling me she's playing. You know what I'm saying? Or she's really not interested in anything. But I didn't want to transpose my thoughts and my perception onto somebody. But I felt like she was keeping me around to stick around. I mean, I felt like, she knows I'm a loyal person, no matter, loyal to a fault. She know I'm like, I base my connections off like my connections, like with you, period. Like, if I have a connection with you, and because it's not, I take what I take in relationships. I'm not going to treat you different because we had a bad day. Like, I am like that. I'm that guy. Like, we're in a relationship. If I'm in a relationship with somebody, you got people that will treat you shitty because you're not talking to them, or y'all get into it. I'm going to treat you with utter respect and courtesy, just like we didn't get into it, because that's who I am. I'm going to treat you kind, gentle, because that's who I am. I'm going to care for you and be there for you just because who I am. She knows that that's who Tori is. So even though, like, I feel like, because you're playing, she knows who I am as a character, and I'm going to treat her with the respect, and and that could also be taken advantage of. Not saying she did take advantage of, but could be taken advantage of.
That's how it looked like to us. I ain't gonna lie to you. I didn't want to say my piece until you said your piece, but that's how it looked like to us. It looked like you was the pawn in her chess game.
Yeah, everybody says, they were like, Tori, you got to stop saying loyalty, 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 loyalty. You're loyal to the wrong people. And that's like, it's not really wasn't about her. It was more about me. You know what I'm saying? Like, how I look on TV, keep calling somebody else's name next week or whatever because this girl, you see her doing it. I got to be me. You know what I'm saying? Like, let her do her. I mean, I get y'all gonna see it anyway. You know what I'm saying? But how would you look at me if Tori calling Takia name this week and Joy name this week? Like, it's gonna look like I'm gonna look like a fool. And this is where I teetered from, like, being true to me and saying just F it, because I didn't know what to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was kind of caught in a situation where I didn't know what to do. Like, I didn't, people gonna, if I sit here and be like, forget this girl, they're gonna think I'm bitter, and I don't really give a damn. I understand backing off and moving on, but if I say, and then if I stick around and be like, oh well, Sabrina, they're gonna be like, oh, this is a simp of the week. I'm in a rock and a hard place where people are gonna have their own perception regardless. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm either gonna be a simp or I'm gonna be a bitter guy, and I saw that too. Like, it didn't matter what I did. I was in a lose-lose situation. Like, I was in a lose no matter what. So all I could do is just, like, honestly, I kind of felt like, people like, why you didn't do this? Why you didn't self-eliminate and blah, blah, blah. I never watched this damn show. I ain't know about those damn self-elimination. I'm just being honest with you. I ain't know about no self-elimination until Ace. And then the next day we went to the lake house. And then by so many people went home, they were not letting people leave. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So either way, I was stuck there. So that's to answer your question. I never watched the damn show before, and I didn't know about the show. I don't watch reality TV. I didn't know about no self-elimination. People are like, how you didn't know? Because I don't watch reality TV. I'm not one of y'all guys that watch reality TV. I barely watch TV. This TV comes on for Snowfall. This TV comes on for Blacklist. This TV comes on for Ozarks. If it ain't one of those three shows, that TV just sitting there. That 65 minutes TV just sits there, unless my daughter want to watch something. And I definitely don't find a thing for reality shows. So, but yeah, I was just stuck, man. I didn't know. Like, can't go home, can't, and I'm trying to build connections with some other people that seem genuine. But what she didn't realize, she talked me up so much to the other girls that it stigmatized me.
How do you mean?
I would talk to Ace, and Ace was like, Tori, this is not just Ace. This is Takia. This is Joy. I'm talking to them on the phone. They'd be like, this is before they start seeing the fuckery, before the bonfire. They would swear, I'll be on the phone with them. They'd be like, because they know I like Sabrina. You like, that girl really into you, bro. Like, oh, she talk about Tori all the time. The way she talk about you, it's amazing. So when you saw the bonfire, you should have all seen how many faces dropped. She tried to tell me because my face dropped. Nah, you ought to seen how many face. Ake's face dropped. Joy almost hit the floor. Tina like, what the? Carmen like, you were seeing everybody's face. Demetrius even said to the point where he knows him and her connection, but he still was surprised. Tommy came out and he said he was surprised. It was like, hell, you had production members coming to the side like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? So it was not just a domino effect of Tori, because what I tried to get her to understand when she tried to say, well, it's my face. I don't think you realize the dynamics of whatever you said to these people or how you said it. These people believed in your, like, how you felt about me to just swap it up like that. Like they telling me, I'm sitting on the phone, like, hey, I want to let you know she's really genuine. She's not playing games, A, B, C, D. I'm like, oh, really? So I'm starting drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm now looking back, was it a play? But people just saying that for the hell of it? I'm not sure, because now I'm starting to realize, people were playing games to stay to the end. I don't know what's fact and fiction anymore. When you come in with genuine intentions, you don't understand that people are playing. When you've never done reality shows like this, you don't know who's playing. And you didn't even know it was a factor that people would be want to play. All you think it is like, ain't no prize. It costs money. These clothes ain't cheap. Yeah, I got to buy a different outfit every episode. You know how many episodes I'm on? I'm on a lot of episodes. Every different outfit. And then a lot of episodes, I'm like 2 or 3 different scenes. So average 3 episodes. I'm on at least 10 episodes plus a reunion. So that's 11 episodes. There's 3 scenes per episode. Different outfit. 3 scenes per episode. That's a lot of freaking money. I spent more money doing this show than I
got paid.
I paid to do this show. I paid. Don't think it's a prize. I paid to do this show. You know, I lost a contract because of the show, because when they try to, out of nowhere, they want to shoot me 17 days straight to play catch up. Like, I sat on the bench for 2 weeks outside of Sabrina. That was the only dates I was getting for a while. You know, then you want to play catch up and like, okay, well, we're going to try to figure out who we're going to match you with and see who's going to work.
Okay. So, so your situation, Sabrina, obviously, what were the guys saying then? No, you don't have to tell me who's saying what, but if you're saying, because it sounds like Demetrius too was getting the information in the ear too. It sounds like you were getting information in the ear. At the point where the mandem have really clocked Sabrina, what was the consensus then?
Oh, the men, they were telling me to, like, they felt like she was playing. They wanted her gone. You know what I'm saying? Like, they wanted her gone. So, you know, I was definitely Demetrius was definitely her saving grace. You know what I'm saying?
What do they see that they wanted her gone though? Because obviously
they felt like she was playing. Like, this is generally after the bonfire. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Because you know, a lot of them have their connections. You know what I'm saying? And their connections, you know, maybe see how somebody's moving. You know what I'm saying? And don't think it's okay. Or they may have, or they might be like, well, damn, like, I don't know. People, I'm gonna take it like this. People claim, and I say claim because you never know, that they see my sincerity or saw my sincerity, and they claim that they didn't see the sincerity on the other end. You know what I'm saying? And they felt like it was being taken advantage of. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm a loyal person. Like loyalty, I run from that street code of loyalty. That goes to my woman, that goes to my friends, that goes to my family. You know what I'm saying? Like, I am loyal to the part. You know what I'm saying? I will be there if you need me. Little black book in trouble, I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna put my mask and cape on. I'm flying over there, bro. Like, I got you. We ain't even gotta talk from a year to now. I still got you. You know what I'm saying? If we friends on that level, it don't matter. You know what I'm saying? That's just who I am. You know, but they just felt like she was playing games, and that's what they told me. Their guys was just outside of the new people, because Donovan had just got there. Outside of Demetrius, because he really liked her, and I think Eric liked her too. Outside of those, you know, everybody else was just like, you know, we feel like she's playing games.
And tell us a little bit more. Tell us how you felt then when the other guys, when it gets revealed, or at least when you come into knowledge of Donovan, Demetrius, Eric now also liking Sabrina, and seemingly having some strong connection with her. How did that make you feel, and what was your thought process at that time?
Oh, well, when they guys had connections with him, I'm like, I didn't really care. I mean, like, you're here to have a connection, you know, working connection. Because you have a connection don't mean she had a connection with you. It's 2 different things.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because some of those people had connections with her don't mean she connected with them. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's one thing that we have to understand when it comes to connection, because it didn't work. It didn't always work both ways. And I didn't think nothing of it. I'm like, that's what they're here for.
Okay.
May the best man win.
Okay. So the conversation with you and Sabrina, where obviously after she nibbles on Demetrius' ear, you guys have this conversation about you want her to let her, you know, where she stood.
Mm-hmm.
What was that then? You know, if the best man wins, why have that conversation with Sabrina?
Because to me, I was getting spoon-fed Tori from her. You know, she liked Tori. It's all about Tori. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's into me. She feels like that, you know, we have a, you know, good potential. You know what I'm saying? Like, I will never forget. That conversation, I felt like it was forced, not by us, but it also did need to be had. You know what I'm saying? Because she was basically telling me, well, she's trying to follow the process. You know what I'm saying? And what I was trying to, and I was like, that's cool, follow the process. But what people didn't understand, like I think it was like the date before with a bus or whatever. She was telling me she didn't like how Demetrius was acting, you know what I'm saying, about the bus and his demeanor and stuff like that.
Oh, so she told you?
No, she talked to me. So yeah. So you just told me this. So you got people look at it, well, like, oh, well, competition, but you don't know what was said. So even if she nibbled on somebody's ear, based on what she said, prior, don't get me wrong, things can change. I wouldn't have thought it was him. You know what I'm saying? Just based off that conversation, because she seemed aloof, like, oh, I cannot deal with him. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, so she was making it seem as if she couldn't deal with Demetrius.
Yeah, because she didn't like the way he acted. She claimed she didn't like the way he acted from the bus date, and it threw her off, and it was just not her cup of tea. So to go to the bonfire, she nibbled on his ear. That was an added shock. Like if she had nibbled on Wiley ear or Clifton ear, it would have probably been maybe 10% of a less of a shock. You know what I mean? Because you ain't just say something about, hey, I don't like the way that he's acting. You know what I'm
saying? So just to clarify, so then when you're asking her to make it very clear where you stand, because when we're watching it, we're like, it again, it kind of fell into that narrative of you've become the pawn to her game. But in that conversation, it felt like you were really trying to force her to kind of say where she stood with you in a sense. And so I'm just trying to get an understanding of that. Yeah.
I got you. So no, okay. I think the way it was shown maybe appeared like that, because that's not the conversation. The conversation generally was, I know that's what you saw. That was only part of the conversation. That part was just, I guess, to show y'all I needed a clear understanding. But the conversation generally was for me to let me know, hey, like I'm a back out. Like if, because I'm more intentional. Like I'm not trying to be played with. And, there was a conversation where, hey, I need to try to figure out if you're rocking with me or not, because, you say you're rocking with me to my face, but then you're showing high intensive interest in somebody else. Like that ain't how I roll. I'm not going to tell somebody I like you this much, and I ain't got that much like for them. This is what I think I tried to get. I don't have that much like for that many people. Like I don't have that energy. Like I can't like you and you and you. I don't have that. So also initially, like where you stand is, if you have that energy for that many people, you're not my one. I need to back up, because I need somebody with more intentional energy. Yes, get to know people. Yes, follow the process of, but I mean, I think it's like this. You might go apartment shopping, but you still got somewhere you want you looking into more. Like when you go look at those apartments or those houses, it's always that house that got your attention a little bit more. Like I'm leaning towards this, but I wasn't getting that energy that she was leaning towards this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But before the bonfire, I got that energy. She was all about this. So I need to know now, is you rocking with this or not? Like I've been feeling like you wanted Tori the whole time. The energy, the vibes, what I'm hearing, you know what I'm saying? The good things in the streets, the word is, from you and everybody else that you feeling this. This is the apartment that you're looking at. This is what you're thinking about making your house, your home. But then your actions is you want to live in that apartment too. You want to live in this apartment. I think I want both apartments. You can't have both apartments, baby. You either want this house or that house. Come on, you can go shop around. That's cool. But I know when I'm looking at stuff, I got an intention for one, and I might just be browsing the others. So I just need to know if you're rocking with me or not. Don't tell me you interested in this house and you trying to buy something else. We can save our time. I go ahead and I could be on the market.
So then would that necessarily then contradict the fact that you're open to the competition then? Because if and that's fair enough if that's the case. I don't think that's a bad thing. Not all of us are built for that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But because that's similarly to what Donovan kind of said as one of the same reason, like you got connections here and there, but is that then contradict you to the point of saying I'm okay with having the competition? Because having the competition is being open to the fact that, yeah, do you know what? You might nibble on someone's ear, but I know what I got. So at the end of the day, it's what it is. But it
And
sounds like you're clarifying to try and find out where you were in the competition rather than just playing the competition. Do you know what I'm saying?
yeah, you're right. And I think you're right what you said. You know what I'm saying? Like I did come across, well, a little bit of both ways though. I know what I got, it is what it is. I can just keep it moving. And that's what I think that's what I was trying to do. Like, let me be a little bit more aggressive in this competition because, I'm hearing that you're highly interested. You're telling me you're highly interested. I'm interested. To me, I'm like, I think I have a big thing where I don't want to waste other people's time. Even when I'm coming to dating now, I feel bad. Like if I'm dating more than one person, because I don't know if this girl is really intentional. And then I got her hooked on me. And I find, because I've been there before. I've been a man there and I'm like, I got a girl hooked on me and I'm dating two people at once. And then like, I got to make a choice. That's not fair for the other person. I've been hurt. I've hurt others. At my age, I don't want to do that. That maybe the competition wasn't for me and I should have read the fine print. But I don't want to do that because I know how it feels. I've done it. And I've been the dunny and I've been the person that's doing. You know what I'm saying? And my thing, it was just what you're saying is right. But let's go back to what we talked about earlier. People are afraid to communicate what they want up front. I am communicating what I want and need. I need to know if I have your attention. If I don't have your attention, then that means I need to go forward and connect with other people. I am connecting with other people, but if I have eyes for you, why let everybody else think I got eyes for them? Because I am not doing them a service. That is a disservice as a Black man, a man, period. Yes, I'm following the rules, but why am I gonna sell everybody a dream that we're gonna be together? Why am I gonna tell this other woman you're the one for me when I know if Sabrina says, hey, you know what? I choose you, Tori, then I'm just gonna stop talking to you and drop you. You know what I'm saying? Every woman on this show that I have talked to and communicate with will let you know I followed the process, but I made my intentions clear. They will never say Tori lied. They will never say Tori manipulated. They will never say Tori was a person that didn't come with earnest and honesty. They said Tori showed me interest. He talked to me, but he also let me know where he stood. I'm sure every female will say that, except for maybe one. Yes. Yeah. As we already talked about.
I mean,
even so, I feel like she probably still say that too.
I think that's fair. I honestly do think that's fair. I'm not against that at all. And like I said, not everyone's cut out for that that competition ring. Nobody wants to be doing 2-3 dating things, which makes sense.
Too much energy, Black. But I say you're right. For me, it was too much energy. I wasn't used to accepting up a lot of energy. It's too many energy. You got people you're dealing with. You're dealing with all these women that have their own views and perceptions. You're dealing with everybody's emotions. I live in a balance. That was throwing me off my equilibrium, accepting other people's energies, people's, worries, troubles, their insights, their gossip, you know what I'm saying? And you got other people filling of it, you know what I'm saying? And you're not only accepting the girls' energy, you're accepting the guys' energy. That it was a lot, and me, I live my life in balance, bro. Like having too many people on my scale was tipping it over. And so this, I'll make it clear to you now. This wasn't the show for me at all.
Fair point. Looking back on it with the Sabrina situation, what red flags do you feel you missed?
What I feel I missed?
Yeah. Looking back on it now, what red flags do you feel you missed with Sabrina?
Oh, I didn't miss them. I caught them all. You just didn't see it. They made it. They they had to they had to tie in why I'm there. So you know what I'm saying. But I think what they didn't do is it's their fault because they didn't show you the interest of everybody else. You know what I'm saying? They didn't show you. They wanted me to look like a lost puppy or dog instead of showing the genuine interest. Like I was a few people's tops, at one point, and it may have narrowed down. They even took me out of Sabrina's tops. You didn't get an understanding or context of who I was. You didn't get an understanding or context of the situation. And to me, like I said, they need to work on next year. They need to work on writers. Their writers suck, and I picked up on those red flags a lot. Like I'm gonna tell you something. I probably shouldn't tell you. This is gonna give you insight. I peeped out red flags a lot, and I remember one thing, Sabrina, and I'm not trying to bash her. You know what I'm saying?
No,
I'm not get there because I'm not at all.
it's your truth.
But I remember she sent me this horoscope. She's a Virgo, and and the Leo connection, right? And what happened? I remember the conversation where she was like, I showed my sister your picture. You know what I'm saying? Blah blah. Those are things that would make the average individual be like, oh, you know what I'm saying? You really thinking about me? I got to the point where I already knew what it was. You know what I'm saying? Then I talked to the other, two guys in competition. And guess what?
She said the same thing to them.
Yeah. They got the same horoscopes. They got the same thing. It was a cookie cutter mode. Like, hey, make them cookies. I got this now. Let me throw that out. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like the guy that sends all his women good morning the same way in the morning. You know what I'm saying? Like, This is your process. I peeped that out. Now, did I like the girl? I liked the girl. Hell, I would have loved at one point before I realized things weren't the way it was to have that match. But this is where I go, little black book, where I tell you I grew. I was in that situation for 6 months during COVID with a girl named Brittany. I learned my lesson from that situation. You just couldn't see that I learned my lesson because the show production couldn't let you see that I learned my lesson because they needed a sacrificial lamb. They needed to tell a story of the hurt. Don't get me wrong. I was bothered. I was aloof. But to the extent they put it was totally not true. You know what I'm saying? To the point that I needed to have conversations that I didn't need to have because I didn't say I needed this conversation. I didn't need to have those conversations. I already knew what it was. Like Sabrina herself would tell you, I backed out. I know that's one thing she would tell you. It's not because anything dealing with Demetrius. It's just because I've been there. I saw this before. I already knew where it was going.
So obviously then after the Sabrina situation, I mean, not even after, during the case of the show, I think the audience have wanted to know this answer for a very long time. The kidney comment that kept on coming up was, to say the least, interesting. I want to find out your perspective on this rearranging kidney, why it kept on coming up in conversation.
Well, as you notice, I didn't bring it up but one time. And that was with the Joy conversation, right?
Okay.
It only was brought up another time when Precious asked me about it. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Remember? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I only brought it up one time. And to me, I said what I said. Double down on it. To me, if you are an individual or that's been able to make women climax in a way that is physically pleasing, everybody knows certain things, such as a woman that has orgasm or squirts, what that is, right? You know what that is, right? Anybody?
Oh, yeah, I do. Yeah, I'm listening to you.
So that means you're able to touch the bladder or give some kind of a sensation that gives women a uncontrollable, movement with their body and stuff like that. So it's just a figure of speech for entertainment and funniness to me. But some people take it a little too serious. But I mean, I feel like that's because you've never had that climax to do it. Nobody's ever touched your bladder and make you squirt or come into a mannerism where you're shaking in a good way, in positive manner, then you have that issue. If you got to take it to the negative terms, or I don't know, like he got the anatomy, well then, I'm sorry, brother, you can't touch a woman's soul like that. Then that's your fault. I can't help you. Can't reach past the clitoris. I'm sorry, lady, if you have an issue with what I said, because I said what I said, that you never had an orgasm because you don't understand that it's not about the stroke. It's a lot about positioning and mental awareness of how, like, everybody's not the same, but gravitating and learning your mate, that's your fault that you have not reached that. You're dealing with people that maybe are not on your level or even at a level that you think you are. So the kidney comment is just for people that get it. When I've said it to certain women, they get it. They find it entertaining and funny, and they don't make it serious. The ones that do, I guess you have a horrible sex life. Respectful. And even if they don't, and even if they don't, it's really just like, hey, it was a joke. You know what I'm saying? It's a joke. It's not to be taken serious. Some people take things too seriously, man. Why would you take things too seriously? Like, it's obviously not serious.
I think I guess obviously people thought maybe it was a bit. Some people thought it was a bit vulgar. Some people thought, like, what's the kidney got to do with anything? Why are we rearranging kidneys? I think that's what people thought. But I mean, listen, I hear it. I get it. Once you've explained it, I get it.
Yeah, I mean, if they don't like me because I said it, then I said what I said. I got to be comfortable with me. I can't be comfortable with somebody else. Because just like I might have a conversation with one woman that takes something this way, the next one will take it this way. Just like I have a conversation with my friends and say something, they might take it that way, and somebody say, you are welcome to take anything that you want, how you want to, but don't respect my views. As long as I'm being respectful to whom I am talking to, you do not know the dynamics of the individual I've talked to, and they might be just as goofy as me. I'm goofy. I like to joke. I like to talk shit. That's just what I do. Respectful.
I get it. Okay, I get it. I ain't gonna move out of it. You know what I'm saying? For you, looking back at the whole show, what do you think you learned from the whole of the show? Like, what was your takeaway learns from the show?
My takeaway from the show. That is a good question. I'm just happy to left that show, and they let me leave with the dignity and the graciousness, and actually show that I left with dignity. That's all I care about. Anything else, I don't care about. I don't care about no kidneys. I don't care about no, individual that didn't want to be with me or talk to me, or that was here or there. I came for my own purpose, and I think leaving this show allowed me to have tough skin, because I realized people are going to hate you regardless. The ones that, even what you said about the comments or whatever about the thing, some people understand it's a play. I've had some women say, oh, you can take this, this kidney. And yet someone's like, oh, I can't believe you said that. Well, it wasn't for you if you can't believe I said that. It's for the one that says, hey, you can take it, because they understand it's a joke. They understand I'm a human being that likes to talk shit. And they probably the ones that like to talk shit too. And they comfortable with it themselves. I think I gained some good friends, you know what I'm saying? And the people that I are close with on the show. And I hope, in the future that, maybe something to come out. I don't have any products to sell you. I don't have any,
business.
Nothing that's tangible coming out, no clothing line, nothing. You know what I'm saying? I just got me. That's all I can offer you.
Hey, I'm with it. I'm with you. Yeah, I'm with you, bro. I'm with you. I think you've answered all my questions, bro, to tip top shape. You've also given me more questions though to ask some of the other cast members when they come on here, hopefully. So hopefully we'll get to answer the questions. But I appreciate you coming on here and sharing your truth, spending 3 hours with me. I appreciate you as well, sharing parts of yourself and what you've been through as well. So honestly, it's been a pleasure. Captain. You know, I wish you the best for the future. And you know, we pray that, you know what, we get to see you again. Obviously, listen, I might need you back on here after the reunion. We don't know how the reunion's going to get shown.
Oh, I already know you calling me back after that reunion. I can't even say nothing. You're gonna be like, run that back, Turbo. No, Tori, I need you here today.
So we're gonna have to bring you back on here, obviously, clearly, because I heard the reunion. I heard the reunion was A1. So
yeah, you gonna have your sippy cup, whatever your favorite drink is, your popcorn, and I'll be back. I already know you're gonna have me back for sure.
Okay. Well, audience members, it's been amazing. One last question: the cupcakes. Why was only 2, not 4?
Well, she's watching her weight. 2.
What you say?
2. That wasn't the only gift. 2. So it was 2 cupcakes for the fat ones that feel like they should have had 4 cupcakes for one person. Because no. But there was actually another gift they didn't show. Actually, Sabrina,
why didn't you give her a 2-cup holder? The box looked empty.
I know, it's not my fault. That's all they offered. They offered 4 in singles, and I just felt like I'm not about to hand her 2 little singles. And see, you know, so that's what they had. And
should have given her 4 of the cupcakes, bro. Would have been much more nicer to look at.
Well, you know, I gave her another gift too, and then y'all didn't even see the other gift I had got. I had at one of my dates, there was the one at the Mexican restaurant. I had got her custom chocolates, like from like a chocolatier, like beautiful arranged ganache chocolates and all this type of stuff. So there was a lot y'all didn't see. Like y'all didn't even see that wasn't the only gift she had that night. That in 2 cupcakes at that time. She had more. She had another gift at that time.
Fair enough. I mean, next time, give somebody 4 cupcakes, bro.
4 cupcakes. Okay. And then I'm gonna judge them, but like, you ate all 4 cupcakes, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. But listen, again, thank you so much, bro, for coming through. Appreciate you. Listen, audience, thank you so much for being respectful in the chat. It's been amazing. It's been fun. Shout out PO for coming through, even though he doesn't like me. But yeah, shout out. He was on.
Why can't I see your chat? I can't see nobody.
Oh, are you on your phone or laptop?
iPad? Oh, okay. Comment.
It's probably best you didn't see.
Oh, damn! I didn't see everybody.
You'd have been distracting for you. Don't worry, it's good you didn't see the comments.
Okay. Yeah, probably would, because it covers you up.
Yeah.
Okay, got you, brother.
So listen, it's been great, guys. It's been amazing. Appreciate you. You know, listen, PO, I see you in the chat, bruh. You know where I'm at. I done hollered at you already, brother. You know what I'm saying? Reply to my message and I got you. Okay. Look, reply to my message that we can talk. I'm always here for it. You know what I'm saying? I'm just here to just do my job. You know what I'm saying? But listen, audience, it's been amazing. It's been great. I can't wait to get hopefully Sabrina on here because we got questions we need to ask. Are you all right? Are you okay? We need to get Sabrina on here to ask these questions. Baby, they calling your name, baby. Okay, they calling your name. So we need to know wagwan for that. You get me? So listen, I can't wait to see what's gonna happen, man. There's gonna be so many more interesting interviews along the way. Eric has been rescheduled to Friday, guys. Unfortunately, he had some family stuff. I wanted to make sure that he was in the proper mind state to be able to do this interview. So we'll wait till Friday to do Eric's interview. In between that time, we've got Laverne on Thursday night. So we're gonna have Laverne on here as well. And we'll get a few more interviews going along the way as well. So it's going to be an interesting one for the next few weeks. I'm telling you guys, got some great interviews coming along the way. So we'll see you soon. Anybody interviewing Karma? Karma's not out yet, so I can't interview her just yet. But we gonna get there. All right. Appreciate you guys. Stay locked and stay loaded. We'll see you again very, very soon.